All right, we're going to go ahead and call to order the REDI Commission meeting tonight for March 14, 2024. We will have the flag salute by Evelyn from Troop 584. Please stand.
Those that are in uniform, please salute. Those that are not in uniform, right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2.
All right. Commission Secretary, can we have the roll call?
Yes. Commissioner Deutsch?
Here.
Commissioner Eventov?
Here.
Chair Faulkner?
Here.
Commissioner Lecters?
Here.
Vice Chair Pastorian?
Here.
Commissioner Steed? Here. And Commissioner Wilson?
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commission Secretary. And just want to give a brief announcement before we get started. We have a busy agenda tonight, and we want to be mindful of those who are in the audience, and your time is valuable, so we want to make sure we are using your time wisely. We're going to move some items around a little bit, and we're going to shift up the Women's History Proclamation as our first item of adjustment here, and then we'll follow that by the Temecula Valley Hospital presentation. So with that being said, Director, staff report?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. I love seeing the full chamber pack for Women's History Month. We know a lot of you are here. We know a lot of you requested proclamations, and so we welcome everyone. We wanted to do a little something different. We are going to get started with a different video. It's actually a video that is highlighting a permanent women's history exhibit in our California State Museum. And we're going to get into some specific statistics later on when we hear from Commissioner Wilson, but we thought this might set the tone a little bit. So with that, Chris, if you can go ahead and play for the video, please.
Welcome back. March is Women's History Month. Now that's all about celebrating the vital role of women in American history.
And the California Museum has an exhibit dedicated to doing just that. ABC 10's Candace Red gives us an inside look.
The California Museum is highlighting women's achievements, which is often overlooked in history books.
There are lots of times in history where women have been left out or seen as background characters, and really they are more so main characters.
The museum has a signature exhibit called Women Inspire, California Women Changing Our World.
So this originally came out as a small temporary exhibit, but it had such well regards that we made it into a permanent exhibit here at the California Museum.
The exhibit tells the stories of more than 250 women from the 1700s to present who broke barriers in California history.
We have an interactive screen which is behind me where you can learn about women either from landmark events or you can look at timelines.
The second part of the exhibit comes with inspirational stories from trailblazers like Dolores Huerta, Sally Ride, the Williams sisters, and many more.
And we try to position Women Inspire to be an exhibit that talks about women who have made great contributions across all kinds of areas: history, women, the arts, music. Once you've gone through all of it, you get to learn who really does inspire you.
With March being Women's History Month, the museum is encouraging all to learn about the role women have played in shaping the American landscape.
We get to talk about them, their contributions, their history, their context, and we get to share their stories because we can't continue moving forward if we don't share stories.
Looks pretty cool. That was our Candace Red reporting. If you plan on going to the exhibit, you can bring one guest for free. All you have to do is mention Women's History Month at admission.
Chair Faulkner, that is actually a brand new report, so that is relevant to 2024. Women's History Month. So if anybody is going to Sacramento and is going to visit the California State Museum, they can certainly go and see that exhibit in person. And then you can also go on the website, and they have some information there. In the event that you can't go in person to see the exhibit, they have some information there about Women's History Month and California women leaders as well. With that, Commissioner Faulkner, I'll go ahead and ask you to turn it over to Commissioner Wilson, and she will go through her slides.
Thank you so much, Director. Commissioner Wilson, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Faulkner, Chair Faulkner. Thank you all for being here today. It is truly an honor to celebrate us as women, because that's who we are. As we celebrate Women's History Month, we like to remind you that our theme is women who advocate for equity, diversity, and inclusion. And I'd just like to take you down a little history of our women. 168 million number of females in the United States in 2021. 3.8 million, that's about 1.6 million more female ages 85 and older. 3.8 million than men. 2.2 million in the United States in 2021. 36.1% of women 25 and older who had earned bachelor degrees or higher, compared with 33.9% of men in 2021. 79.1 million number of female ages 16 and older who participated in the civilian labor force in 2021. 1.9 trillion women-owned businesses had an estimated 1.9 trillion in receipts, 10.9 million employees, and 432.1 billion in annual payroll in 2021. Some history timelines. March 31st, 1776. In a letter to her husband, John Adams, Abigail Adams makes a plea to him and the Continental Congress to remember the ladies and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors. July 19th and 20 of 1848, the first Women's Rights Convention, the Seneca Falls Convention, is held in New York. 68 women and 32 men, including Frederick Douglass, signed the Declaration of Sentiments. May 29, 1851, Sojourner Truth delivered her famous Ain't I a Woman speech at the Women's Rights Convention in Akron, Ohio. December the 10th, 1869, unincorporated territory in Wyoming passes America's first woman suffrage law, granting women the right to vote and hold office. In 1890, Wyoming in the 44th state admitted to the Union and becomes the first state to allow women the right to vote. April the 2nd, 1917, Jeanette Rankin of Montana is sworn in as the first woman elected to Congress as a member of the House of Representatives. August the 18th, 1920, ratification of the 19th Amendment of the United States Constitution is completed, declaring the right of citizens of the United States to vote and shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. May 20th and the 21st, 1932, Amelia Earhart becomes the first woman to fly solo nonstop across the Atlantic. December 1st of 1955, Rosa Parks refuses to give up her seat to a white man on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama, helping to launch the civil rights movement. June 10th, 1963, President John F. Kennedy signs into law the Equal Pay Act, prohibiting wage discrimination between men and women performing the same job in the same workplace. July 2nd, 1964, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act into law. Title VII bans employment discrimination based on race, religion, national origin, or sex. June 23rd of 1972, President Richard Nixon signs into law Title IX of the Education Amendment stating, "No person in the United States shall on the basis of sex be excluded from participation, be denied the benefits of, or be subject to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance." December the 20th, 1973, Billie Jean King beat Bobby Riggs in straight sets during a tennis exhibition match that aired on primetime TV, drawing 90 million viewers. July 7th, 1981, Sandra Day O'Connor is sworn in by President Ronald Reagan as the first woman to serve on the U.S. Supreme Court. July 12, 1984, Democratic President nominee Walter Mondale names Geraldine Ferraro as his running mate, making her the first woman vice president nominee by a major party. March 12, 1993, nominated by President Bill Clinton, Janet Reno is sworn in as the first female Attorney General of the United States of America. January the 23rd, 1997, nominated by President Bill Clinton, Madeleine Albright is sworn in as the first female Secretary of State of the United States of America. January the 4th, 2007, Nancy Pelosi becomes the first female Speaker of the House. July 26, 2016, Hillary Clinton becomes the first woman to receive a presidential nomination from a majority political party. January the 20th, 2021, Kamala Harris is sworn in as the first woman and the first woman of color Vice President of the United States of America. I think all of those trailblazers right there need a round of applause right now. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And to all of you who are here this evening that are continuing to carry the torch, I applaud you also. And our final message today is Happy Women's History Month. Let's ace it. Let's continue to acknowledge, to celebrate, and to educate. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson.
With that, Chair Faulkner, we actually have our fabulous supervisor with us tonight to provide some in-person comments for Women's History Month, and he also has a video as well. So, Supervisor Washington, would you like us to play the video first?
Yes.
Okay, Chris, if you can go ahead and play the video. Thank you, Supervisor. We know you are very proud of your team, and I was privileged enough to start my employment here with Supervisor Washington when he was Council Member Washington. So Supervisor Washington, welcome.
Thank you.
Before you get going, Supervisor, I think some congratulations are due to you for, for being reelected as the 3rd District Supervisor. So thank you so much for your leadership.
Thank you, Chair Faulkner, and to the commissioners and city staff, Eric, you know that being able to provide service, public service, is a blessing. You know, we served in the Navy, each of us. I couldn't last as long as you did, but I did my best. I was moving faster. And this public service continues to be a great blessing to me, and I'm so happy and gratified of all of the experiences that not only I have enjoyed, but those of my partner and best friend, Kathy, is here tonight as well. None of this would have happened without her by my side. I didn't make a decision that I wanted to arrive at a place where I had an all-female staff. It occurred organically. But, they say that we are a product of our own experiences, right? And I was reflecting back on my own personal experience and taking note of the fact that I don't have any brothers. I have 3 sisters, and they all turned out to be wonderful, very bright women. One of them has a master's and a doctorate from Cornell. Another one has a double major from Brown and a law degree from Yale. So I'm kind of the mutt of the family. But I provide them with a lot of emotional support, if you will. And growing up, my parents are from Mississippi, and we would visit as children. And, of course, all of our time in Mississippi spent with grandparents was spent with grandmothers. Even my mother's mother was very fond of taking me fishing, so I grew up learning to fish with my grandmother. These were the women in my life, my sisters, my mother, my grandparents. My father was someone I looked up to as well, but there were a lot of women who influenced how I viewed women in my life. And then Kathy and I got married. We have 1 child, a daughter. Our first grandchild was a girl. And so you see where this is going, right? And now, and I've been doing this job for a while, and obviously I'm getting older, but my average age in my office is getting younger. 6 of the 8 are under 30, but they are smart, well-educated, good public servants. And I'm very proud of them and the work that they do. And I say all of this to connect it to what we're celebrating here tonight. We're celebrating the evolution of what started out as a week and grew to become a month. And I'm also making my comments around the point not to slight all of the very famous women in history who have become noteworthy for their accomplishments, their achievements, but because day in and day out, there are a lot of very bright, strong women who are doing great work and making this world go round. My wife and I have been married a long time. She's getting tired of me actually outing how long it's been. But I tell you, not even 10 years ago did we suspect that we would be as busy as we are today. And some time ago, our daughter, who lives 10 minutes away with her husband and 3 children, stopped saying that we are babysitting, because here we are at this point in our life, we are co-parenting. We are helping our daughter and son-in-law raise our 3 children, and it's very rewarding, but none of this would happen without the woman I'm married to. We guys often get a lot of credit for the good things that happen, but I, for one, want to recognize that this world would not continue to spin without the leadership, the compassion, the commitment, the intelligence, the strength of women. And so it is very appropriate that we celebrate them. Heck, maybe before I'm gone, it'll be Women's Year. We're moving in that direction, right? Week, month, it's Women's Year. So anyway, I have brought a proclamation that is signed by the entire Board of Supervisors. We, too, recognized the month of March as Women's History Month, and we did a presentation at a board meeting, and we also selected some Women of the Year from each of our districts. But it won't stop there with my office. We will continue to recognize women in the leadership roles because all too often they've gone unrecognized for the leadership that they provide to all of us and the inspiration that they provide. So thank you for having me tonight, Mr. Chair, and I'll leave the proclamation here on the desk.
Thank you so much, Supervisor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Supervisor Washington. We also have with us tonight our very own mayor. So Mayor James Stewart, if you want to go ahead and come on up.
Well, happy Women's Month. So for those of you who know, I'm a little bit of a history buff. So I thought I would kind of give you a little history about the women in Temecula, city Temecula history. So our very first city council that was formed in 1989, December of 1989, had Pat Birdsall and Peg Moore. So Peg Moore served for 4 years from 1989 to 1992, and Peg Moore, I'm sorry, just the opposite. Peg Moore served from 1989 to 1992, and she also was on the Old Town Local Review Board from 2005 to 2021. Pat Birdsall served as a city councilwoman from 1989 to 1994, and again in 1995 to 97. But Marianne Edwards, she served on council from 2005 until 2022 and holds the record as the longest serving female. And she's here this evening. So on this Women's History Month, I'd like to thank all the women who make Temecula such a great place to live, work, and play. I also want to thank my wife, which we lovingly refer to as Sister Mary Lisa, because she has the biggest heart on the planet, and behind every good man, there's a great woman. So she makes me look good and puts me in places I wouldn't think to normally go. And so I thank her for that. So I'm going to keep it short. I'm not going to go like Chuck and go long. Happy Women's History Month.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
Chair Faulkner, at this time you are welcome to read the proclamation, and we have several public comments after you do so.
Okay, thank you so much, Director. All right, now I read the proclamation. The City of Temecula Proclamation. Whereas National Women's History Month celebrates the legacy of trailblazing women and girls who have built, shaped, and improved upon our city, state, and nation. And whereas women of every age, race, religion, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of Temecula in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And whereas, whether serving in elected positions, leading groundbreaking civil rights movements, venturing into unknown frontiers, and programming revolutionary technologies, generations of women share new ideas and open new doors, having a profound and positive impact on our community. And whereas women have been leaders not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolitionist, emancipation, industrial labor, civil rights, and peace movements, which have created a more fair and just society for all. And whereas, despite their contributions, the role of women in history has been consistently overlooked and undervalued in literature, leadership, teaching, and study of American history. And whereas women play a critical economic, cultural, and social role in every sphere of life in Temecula, and now, therefore, Mayor James Stewart, on behalf of the City of Temecula, hereby proclaim this month of March 2024 to be National Women's History Month, and call upon the community to learn more about the history of women and to observe this month with appropriate programs and activities. In witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Temecula to be affixed to this 4th day of March 2024, 14th day of March 2024, signed James Stewart, Mayor, and signed by our Director, Randy Joel. Thank you so much. Public comments.
Yes, we do. We have about 13 public comments, and this is a business item, so each person will have 5 minutes. First speaker is Kathy Sizemore, to be followed by Dawn Skaggs.
Good evening, Chair Faulkner, REDI commissioners, city staff, and Temecula residents. My name is Kathy Sizemore, and I am honored to have been elected and to serve as the District Committee Chair for the Tahquitz District of the California Inland Empire Council of the Boy Scouts of America. In this role, I am privileged to uphold and promote the mission of the BSA, which is to prepare young people to make ethical and moral choices over their lifetimes by instilling in them the values of the Scout Oath. Tonight, I stand before you not just as a leader with the BSA, but as someone deeply moved by the evolution of this organization, a journey that resonates with my own experience and the legacy of my family. My grandfather was an Eagle Scout, a Cub Master, and a Scoutmaster, passing down a rich scouting tradition to my father, and then in spirit to me. I vividly remember as a young girl in the late 70s, eagerly anticipating joining the Boy Scouts, only to be heartbroken upon learning that my gender excluded me from this family tradition. Instead, I found myself in a different scouting organization where the skills I yearned to learn were replaced with lessons on table setting, which I famously failed. That's why I serve buffet style at my house now. And that marked the end to my brief scouting journey. This early experience of exclusion left me feeling disconnected from a vital part of my family's history, a feeling that lingered until I could participate as a leader through my own son's experience. However, the landscape of scouting has dramatically changed since then. We gather during Women's History Month to celebrate a monumental shift in this narrative, the 5-year anniversary of girls' full participation in Cub Scouts and Scouts BSA. This inclusive evolution allows young women to forge their own legacies in scouting, embodying the true spirit of BSA's mission. It's a change that not only broadens the horizons for our daughters, but also strengthens the scouting community with their diverse perspectives and talents. I'm incredibly proud to acknowledge Southwest Riverside County's newest Eagle Scout, Caitlin Sheely, who earned the prestigious rank on March 6, 2024. Can we give her applause? Caitlin's achievement is a testament to the courage, dedication, and leadership that our program cultivates in all Scouts, regardless of gender. Her success, alongside the active participation of 9 Cub Scout family packs and 5 Scouts BSA girl troops in our district, signifies a new era of scouting, one that I am honored to witness and to support. As we recognize the contributions and achievements of female Scouts and Scouters tonight, we celebrate not only their individual triumphs, but also the BSA's collective progress toward a more inclusive and equitable future. This journey towards inclusion mirrors the broader strides being made in our society, reflecting a commitment to ensuring that every single young person has the opportunity to grow, learn, and lead. In closing, I want to express my deepest gratitude to the City of Temecula, the REDI Commission, and all of you present for acknowledging this significant milestone in the history of the Boy Scouts of America. Together, we are not just making a moment in time, we are paving the way for future generations to embrace the values of scouting unbound by the gender constraints of the past. Thank you.
Next speaker is Dawn Skaggs, to be followed by Nicole Daines.
First of all, thank you very much for having us this evening, Chairman Faulkner. Might I make a suggestion to the city that we need Kleenex up here? Because people like me, they always take bets at Great Oak High School to see how long it'll take for me to start crying. So it is my privilege. I love I love that video, Women Changing California. And I have before me 4 young women who are changing Great Oak High School. Here we go. So Alyssa Panlilio, right here. Alyssa has served as a class president and is currently the student body president of Great Oak High School. She has been committed to making GOHS the best that it can be. She has presented at multiple conferences throughout Southern California regarding the culture and climate, thank you, of Great Oak. You can find her at most events, supporting all groups on campus. She constantly puts others before herself and has set the bar very high for future presidents at Great Oak High School. Please give Alyssa a round of applause. I also have Lacey, Sophia, and Cameron. These three young ladies set a goal at the end of last year to make the Great Oak student section better than ever and to be more inclusive. Their efforts have had very positive results. As leaders of our nationally known Red Wave, they set out to create activities that included all sports on our campus. They created videos on our social media that attracted large numbers of students attending our games. They were determined to focus on the positive and the good that Great Oak does. This resulted in numerous schools complimenting the behavior of our student section. These three are great examples of how student section leaders should behave. They are true trend setters. Thank you.
And if we can just go ahead and go through the public comments, we're
Perfect.
actually then going to take a quick 5-minute recess. And for those that spoke with Naomi from my office to go ahead and do proclamations, we're going to do pictures and proclamations.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Nicole Daines, to be followed by Laurel Lamont.
Good evening, everyone. Chief Faulkner and our REDI Commission commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. I am Nicole Daines, Assistant Superintendent of Temecula Valley Unified School District, and I am a regular attendee at these meetings and enjoy the opportunity to learn from and celebrate every proclamation. I attend in support of our incredible students who demonstrate their passion and eloquence in their presentations and speeches each month. Tonight, though, I am also here to recognize some incredible women, in addition to our students who are here this evening, as a part of our celebration for Women's History Month. First, I want to call attention to an inspirational woman in this room, and all inspirational women in this room, but especially my mom, who's sitting right over there. She didn't know I was going to do that. She has taught me so much about strength and leadership and unconditional love. And as an administrator within TVUSD, I also have had the fortunate opportunity to work with amazing people. There are many women leaders among those amazing people who serve at the site and district level and who I learn from every day. Tonight, I want to express my formal appreciation on behalf of TVUSD to our 3 comprehensive high school principals who are all women. Tina Miller from Temecula Valley High School, Tina Miller from Chaparral High School, Donna Leone from Temecula Valley High School, and Amy Ricken from Great Oak High School. Being a high school principal is often compared to running a small city. In fact, when I was a high school principal, my kids used to play a game on our summer road trips called, "Is this town smaller than Mom's high school?" And they often were. As a high school administrator, you are the safety executive, the instructional leader, the inspiration behind positive culture and climate, the head of communications, the PIO. You need to know facilities. You need to know athletics, visual and performing arts, career technical education, social emotional learning and supports, and be established in community partnerships. You are the first car in the parking lot each day, and the last one to leave each evening, even on a Friday night. You give away all the credit, and you have to absorb all the blame as you constantly work to improve systems, situations, supports, and responses. You are scrutinized more than you are thanked, yet you stay the course in fierce advocacy for all students and their right to learn in environments that are safe, enriching, and accepting of all. These three women accomplish these things and work tirelessly and transparently because their passion for the continued success for their students and campuses is real. They are fiercely competitive and impressively collaborative. They are brave, they are articulate, they are focused, they are driven by integrity, and they never falter in their consideration of each and every student, embracing all differences, assets, and supporting everyone, staff and students, in each challenge. I want to recognize Donna Leon, Tina Miller, and Amy Ricken in tonight's proclamation as shining leaders within TVUSD and as positive, lasting examples of women leadership in Temecula's history. Please join me in giving them a round of applause.
Next speaker is Laurel Lamont, to be followed by Melissa Bourbonnais.
Hi. All right, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Laurel Lamont, and I'm a founder, one of the original founders of Upward Community. And I just want to give you a little background on me. The first time I spoke at City Council and became civically engaged in this city was October 2017. I'm a single mom, and I was raising a boy, am still raising a boy, all on my own. I don't have any parents. I don't have any siblings. I don't have any grandparents. I'm literally doing this all on my own. And I came to City Council in Temecula to seek housing because me and my son were renting a room in which we shared for about 6 years. Eventually, a boy comes of age, and you can only live in the same bedroom with that boy for so long. Unfortunately, city staff and city council were unhelpful and directed me to Sacramento, as in that was the place I needed to be to find the answers I was looking for. In July 2019, I moved into Warehouse at Creekside. That's across the street, and that's an affordable housing apartment. It is income qualified, and I'm about to be overqualified to live there. I make too much at $50K a year. $50K a year, raising a boy all on my own with no child support, no family. I formed Upward Community because the local economic workforce has no representation. Single parents have nowhere to go, but we're working full time. We're doing the best we can. I'm a woman of this community. I'm a fierce warrior. And I keep showing up to represent a constituency that isn't represented across this country. I'm recognizing what I have done because it's not recognized unless I do so. Upon moving into that building across the street, I discovered, with the help of Melissa Bourbonnais and Upward Community, illegal fees being charged to affordable housing tenants, to which we brought to the city's attention, and hundreds of dollars were refunded to tenants. I fought for parking for those tenants during city events. Eventually, parking was acquired for those tenants. Nobody is looking at these people, at us. Nobody is paying attention to us. So I'm here to acknowledge the work that has been done because I showed up. We need to start thinking of all the single income earners the single parents, and the women who don't show up here because they're busy putting food on the table, working full-time, and taking care of children. And they need community, and they need support. Thank you.
Next speaker is Melissa Bourbonnais, to be followed by Olivia Toth.
Hi, I'm Melissa Bourbonnais, and I am also here with Upward Community. I am a co-founder. As you know, we represent the local workforce. We advocate for housing. We believe that anyone who is an essential full-time worker who contributes to an economy that thrives, a local economy that thrives like the one here in Temecula, they have earned the right to live where they work, that they are socially equivalent to the affluent members of a community. And we advocate for them because in our experience, they're not represented. They are part of the missing middle, and they're at work, and they're barely keeping their head above water, and they're working hard to ensure that their families make it, that they maintain a roof over their heads. And so we're here on their behalf. I'm here as a representative of Upward Community. I'm also here as a woman, as a mom, as a daughter, as a best friend. And I want to also join the REDI Commission tonight and honor these women that have made accomplishments that allow me to be here tonight, that allowed me to join law enforcement. I served with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department for 10 years, to get my college degree, to be a single mom, to have options and choices. I'm able to do that in large part because of the women before me, and I'm so grateful for that. And I seek to be part of this organization, be here tonight, show up at City Council as a way to take that baton and move forward with it. And what I want to point out in honor of all those women that have been mentioned tonight, in honor of the Laurel Lamonts, in honor of our unsung heroes, like my mom, who, when she was in high school, wasn't allowed to wear pants. There was a no pants wearing rule in a public high school when my mom was in high school. And she actually orchestrated a sit-in, which probably you're not surprised, since I'm here, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. She was very vocal. She fought for herself and for her peers once upon a time in high school. She's one of those unsung heroes. We don't know about all those women because we're busy, especially that missing middle, especially that working class, we're busy. But I have the opportunity to be here tonight, and I want to honor those women, and I want to point out that words matter. They've always mattered. The 19th Amendment, it was first proposed in 1878, a simple proposal that you should not be denied suffrage rights or the right to vote based on sex. It was proposed in 1878, words, beautiful, good, strong, necessary, and important words, but words that didn't become reality until 1920. Words matter. They're a great starting point. It's how we plant seeds. It's how we raise awareness. It's an important first step, but it's action that we really, Laurel and I, it's what we really advocate for, because words at the end of the day are empty and meaningless if action doesn't take place. The 14th Amendment was in place long before the 15th Amendment. The 14th Amendment that holds the Equal Protection Clause was passed in 1868. 1868, yet women didn't earn the right to vote until 1920. 1868, the Equal Protection Clause was in place, in theory applied to all citizens in this country, to all residents in this country under the Constitution. But yet my mom couldn't even wear a dress, or excuse me, couldn't even wear pants in high school. She took action to change that practice, to change that discrimination. And we, as an Upward community, are now taking action and fighting against the housing crisis, advocating for solutions, and representing the workforce. So I encourage you to think about that, to think about the importance of action, because the proclamation is beautiful, but if you don't take action to change our status, then it's just empty words.
Next speaker is Olivia Todd, to be followed by Douglas Chessie.
Hello and good evening. We want to first thank you for this opportunity of speaking with you all tonight. My name is Olivia Ta. I am one of the presidents of the TVHS Women's Auto Club.
At our school, Temecula Valley High School, we have a CTE pathway class that is designed to teach students about the industry and how to work on these vehicles hands-on. And while this class is open to everyone, there is still an absence of women within the program itself. And this club acts as a stepping stone into the automotive industry, whether our members are looking to get an idea of the field or they just want to learn the hands-on basics. Our club promotes a supportive environment for women to learn these basic skills together, free of judgment. And our meetings happen during lunch, after school, and also on Saturdays. So far, our members have learned how to change tires, how to check for tire pressure and what tools are needed for certain jobs, as well as how to read auto shop lingo and among other skills that we have learned. We have even fixed the O2 sensors of our members' car and as well changed her spark plugs.
This club is also in collaboration with another project working to obtain the California State Seal of Civic Engagement, in which we aim to bring this club to the community in order to help all women in the area, not just our students. We are coming up with projects such as instructional videos or flyers to help hand out and help reach our goal of community outreach.
We are also planning to look into self-defense and car safety as a woman. For example, how to spot signs of trafficking or self-defense tactics that can be used in the car. Women, especially young women, can be targeted based on their cars, so we are working to provide members with knowledge to safely survive this world.
Women's Auto Club is something that we decided to start this year with the hopes of teaching everyone, but more specifically women from all backgrounds and ages, the importance and basics of car mechanics. The automotive industry has historically not been the most inclusive of women, whether it is the prejudice placed on women in the field or women being taken advantage of or scammed at auto shops. This industry lacks female representation. In just less than a year, this club has already helped so many girls on our campus and offers a safe community for us to gather together to have fun and to also learn how to work on these cars. For anyone interested in learning more or has questions, please contact us at tvhswomensauto@gmail.com. Thank you and happy Women's History Month.
Next speaker is Douglas Chessie, to be followed by Tomas Villanueva.
Good evening. My name is Doug Cheeley. I am the Scoutmaster of Scouts BSA Troop 584 out of Menifee, one of the first female scout troops to be founded in the California Inland Empire Council. We started our journey in February of 2019 as soon as young ladies were able to join the ranks of their brothers, uncles, fathers, grandfathers, in attaining the highest honor that Scouts BSA, formerly known as the Boy Scouts of America, could attain, the Eagle rank. I'm extremely proud only because my own daughter recently just passed her board of review and earned her Eagle rank on March 6th. Beyond that, I have had the privilege and the honor to guide and help to shape some amazing young women in this program. If I could have my girls all stand up, please. These are 15 of the funniest, brightest, most intelligent young ladies that I've had the privilege of meeting and working with. They surprise me at every turn, at every outing. and at everything that they do. And 9 times out of 10, they outshine the boys. In addition, we founded this as kind of a side project. Me and a good friend of mine were at a adult leadership conference called Wood Badge, where they teach us how to work as a team, how to work as individuals not only in scouting, but in our professional environments. And I can say that I come from a line of trained individuals. My mom was one of the first 2 females in California Inland Empire Council to go through the Wood Badge training back in the 90s. During this time frame, me and some very like-minded individuals knew the girls were coming into the program and decided, hey, why not? Give it a shot. We started with 6 amazing young ladies, and like I said, our 3rd founding member just earned her Eagle, and there are many more coming behind her in the ranks. But I do want to take this moment to give a special shout out to some of our female leaders that without them, we could not be here doing what we do. Because unfortunately, the Scouts BSA program, moms can take their sons out without a dad being present. But dads can't take their daughters out without a mom being present. So at this time, I'd like to acknowledge some of our female leaders, Miss Michelle Cheeley, my wife, and Miss Mari Bailey, one of our assistant scoutmasters. And being a 3rd-generation scout myself, unfortunately, I did not make Eagle, and I live vicariously through my kids and their adventures. And I'm just happy to be along on the ride with them as they travel the journey, as it leads them into greater adventures and opportunities. Thank you for your time this evening.
Next speaker is Tomas Villanueva, to be followed by Caitlin Villanueva.
Good evening, Crystal. How you doing tonight? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for having me, Mr. Chair, Eric. My name is Tomas Villanueva. I am the Scoutmaster for Troop 309, one of the youngest female troops in the district. A little bit about my background. I am a retired Marine of 25 years. I've had the privilege and honor to have served with many female pilots in combat. I've watched Captain Amy McGrath. She ran for Senator a few times. She's a personal friend of mine. She's a pretty bad, well, she's tough. I've seen women take Cobras, Hueys into combat and never waver. I've seen these same women fly F-18s off of carriers. And now I'm on a new challenge. I've been a scout leader for 18 years. Started off with Cub Scouts, been a Cub Master and a Scout Master for a boys troop. And now I'm a Scout Master for a girls troop. And I'll tell you, I got beast. They are tough. As a Marine, I give no quarter. I have high expectations, high standards, and my ladies meet every one of them. He talked about 9 times out of 10, they'll beat the boys. I'll go 10 for 10. I'll put my ladies up against any troop, any place, anytime, male or female. I don't care what state it is. I'm proud of them. Ladies, stand up for a minute for me. All right, sit down. You're bugging me now. Miss Allison, Miss Marine, stand up. My leaders as well. Oh, Miss Sue, I blew that one. I'm going to hear that one later on. I'm surrounded by incredible people that want my scouts, our scouts, to win, succeed. And I say win because I like winning, and my ladies know that. But I could look out here, and every one of these ladies has that same animal beast inside of them. Every challenge they go places, there's still walls and barriers there. There's still people that believe they don't belong there. There's people that will grade them a little harder. It doesn't matter to them. They look at the challenge of what they got to do, and they get it done. They don't ask for special favors. They don't ask to make it easy. They make the hard look easy, and the tough, no problem. My ladies have whitewater raft, and I've seen them go down the first run with fear in their eyes, and by the 3rd time, they're riding the bull, which means they're riding outside of the raft, holding on to see if they can make it. They've climbed mountains, they've rock climbed, they've wilderness survival, and when I do wilderness survival, it's not fun. They are awesome. We often talk about being concerned about America's future, our society. The Boy Scouts is pretty awesome, but these ladies, they take it to a next level. Ladies, all of you, I am proud of you. I get to see them at different events. And even amongst each other, they look at each other, eye each other, and there's a competition there because it's a troop thing as well. So the nation's in great hands, and these ladies are the future, and they're going to knock it out of the park. So thank you.
Next speaker is Caitlin Villanueva, to be followed by Women in Cybersecurity.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Villanueva. I am a Girl Scout from Troop 309. The person who is just up, Tomas Villanueva, was my dad. He is our Scoutmaster. To start off, I'll talk about, well, it's an honor to be talking here, but to start out, I'll talk about what Scouting is. Scouting is supposed to be a program for all young people to just be a part of and learn life skills. And what I've learned from it is absolutely astonishing, to say the least. We've done wilderness survival. We've built our own tents in nature and then slept out there with nothing but an isomat and what we had in our day packs, which is what we take when we go hiking in case we do get lost. We learn how to take care of ourselves and how to live. There are Eagle Scout merit badges which you can earn, which I have a ton of them. And those are required to Eagle Out. My goal is to Eagle Out by the time I turn 13. I'm currently a Star Scout, and my plan is to get life as soon as I'm eligible to, and then I will be the first Eagle Scout in Troop 309 is the current plan, which is what I hope is going to happen, which will happen. I hope. This is my first time, all right? To say we are a troop is, to put it lightly, it's amazing, is what it is. We're not just a troop, we're a family. The people that I have met and who I've had the pleasure of just being in the presence of is amazing. I've made lifelong friends. I've met people who have just guided me through so much in my life. And I feel so grateful to just be a part of all of it. And to be a woman in the troop, yes, I was the first scout in my troop, in Troop 309G. It's been an honor, and it's honestly just been amazing, to put it lightly, to put it simply. I've learned so much, and I'm going to learn so much more. I plan to stay with the troop when I Eagle Out, and I'll just be able to learn more, teach more scouts, and then that'll help me later in my life, which I'm just so incredibly grateful for. I'm so grateful to be able to talk about this in this room with these people. It's amazing. Troop 309 is amazing. Scouting is amazing. Everything is just astonishing. So, there we go.
Next speaker is Women in Cybersecurity, to be followed by Elisita Wilkins.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Celine Lee, and I am the Vice President of GOHS's Cybersecurity Club from the Department of Cisco.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sam, and I'm a member of the cybersecurity team in the Department of Windows. Our club serves to spread knowledge and awareness of cybersecurity. We utilize our understanding in system security, programming, and networking to protect our national security against cyber attacks and informational breaches. We work as a team together through rigorous competitions, such as Cyber Patriots and National Cyber League, to compete against challenging opponents from high schools all over the world.
Throughout history, women has been marginalized in STEM and computer science, areas traditionally dominated by male. These challenges hit close to home for me as I see gender inequality in the people I love the most. My grandma often told me the story of how she and her sister was forced to quit school while her brothers continue. Despite the difficulties, this fueled her determination to provide for my mother with an education opportunity that she was once denied. And my mother, who later went on to pursue STEM, found herself in a classroom of 80 people with only 20 of them girls. The snowball rolls on as now I stand in front of the class looking down on our club and realizing that I was the only girl in the room. However, this long-rooted stereotype slowly and surely decay with the generation of women challenging them with their existence. The flame of the perseverance passed on from my grandmother to my mother and then to me, fighting and pushing away the limitations upon ourselves. Yet despite the odds, me and my teammates stand here today, not defined by our genders, but by our passion and dedication for cybersecurity. We have witnessed the transformation from being a minority in society to leading progress and pursuing our ambition fearlessly.
Looking to the future, we are encouraged by the increasing numbers of females pursuing careers in STEM and computer science. The ability to compete at a national level in areas we are passionate about is a remarkable gift. As we prepare for the upcoming National Cyber League competition with 6 teams, including an all-female team, we are reminded of the progress we have made. We are heartened by the progress made in providing opportunities for females in high school clubs. In our club, my friend Celine, for example, has served in the cybersecurity realm for 4 years straight, serving as a beacon of inspiration for others. Personally, after witnessing her commitment to cybersecurity, it inspired me to finally join it a year ago. The amount of improvement that has taken place for females is astonishing, as we have transitioned from being apprehensive about social judgments to being confident in our choices and embracing our passion.
From being denied the education to empowering and leading ourselves to pursuing knowledge, women throughout history continues to break through social stereotypes and discrimination. And today we stand here as a living example of female in STEM in cybersecurity, proud to share our journey of development within our high school community. Together, we strive to continue our effort in redefining the limitations upon female and are excited to see more and more girls embracing their passion despite adversity. In the firm belief that cybersecurity is not linked with gender. Thank you for your attention and support.
Next speaker, I believe it's Alicia Wilkins, to be followed by Kalia Lopez and Sarah Solano.
Thank you. So good evening, Chair Faulkner, commissioners, and our wonderful staff. Hello, Randy, I haven't seen you in a while. I am Dr. Alicia Wilkins, the owner of HeraHub Temecula, which is a female-focused shared workspace and business accelerator. We're a female-focused, not exclusive. That would be illegal. And we do have a few good men that are a part of our community, but they're just a few. No. And so the reason why I'm here today is actually we are going to be having a Women's History Month art exhibit at our new location, and it is free and it is open to the public. And the artist that we're going to be showcasing is Lisa Owen. Lisa is a local Temecula Valley artist whose work has appeared in the New York Times, as well as in 2019, she was the artist for our Balloon and Wine Festival as well. And so the event date is on March the 28th from 5 to 7 p.m. Anyone can come by, stop by. If you're over 21, have a glass of wine and appetizers, and just really have an opportunity to be together as a community and enjoy one another. So that's what I wanted to present. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Next speaker is Kalia Lopez and Sarah Solano, to be followed by our last speaker, Marianne Edwards.
I will go ahead and announce the address of the location for Ms. Wilkins. It is actually at HeraHub Temecula, 28999 Old Town Front Street, Suite 203, here in Temecula. And again, it is free and open to the public.
Good evening, I'm Kalia Lopez. And I am Sarah Solano, and we thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here this evening. It's an honor to share the importance of Women's History Month and shed light light on the remarkable contributions made by women that deserve recognition and celebration.
Sarah and I are founding members and now co-presidents of the Latino Club Nuestra Cultura at Great Oak High School. Over time, our dedication and passion dedicated to create an inclusive environment within our school has led us to take on the role of being presidents.
In this world, we are all striving for progress and inclusivity. We must acknowledge and celebrate the contributions of women. By embracing diversity and recognizing the unique perspectives and talents that women bring to the world, we guide the way for a more fair, enriching, and equitable environment.
We are both leaders of our school club, Nuestra Cultura. The leadership role we have as presidents comes with its fair share of responsibilities as well as challenges. Despite the hurdles we've seen as young Latina women, the reward in seeing our club flourish and providing a sense of belonging to our fellow students is immeasurable. Sarah and I introduced Baile Folklorico, a traditional Mexican dance, to our school, and we have been able to witness the enthusiasm and the participation of young girls and boys during the dance practice, which reminds us of the profound impact we are making daily. The historic beginning is just one of many examples of the efforts we have made in order to reshape our school's culture and emphasize diversity.
Balancing a wide range of commitments can be overwhelming, yet our determination to create a space where young girls can embrace their cultural identity remains beyond comparison. For instance, Calais balances her role as a Nuestra Cultura co-president alongside 4 extracurriculars within the AFROTC program, swim, water polo, and leadership roles at her church. Similarly, I demonstrate my passion for excellence through being a Nuestra Cultura president, participating with the California Scholarship Federation, and serving as treasurer of Women for the Middle East. In taking both advanced placement and international baccalaureate classes, we balance all these activities and more through our passion and commitment that empowers us to manage our time effectively and continue to emphasize the values of inclusivity and cultural appreciation.
At this time, we would like to recognize the extraordinary women in our lives who are our mothers. My mom has always embodied patience and unconditional love, going above and beyond to support her 4 children. She spends her time bringing each and every one of us to our extracurriculars while still
managing to maintain a warm and welcoming home. Her selflessness serves as a guidance of inspiration, reminding me of the immense strength and resilience inherent in women. Growing up, I've always recognized my mom as my greatest supporter. She has continuously supported me and inspired me to be the young woman I am today. As daughter of immigrant parents and a first-generation American, my mom was witness to many obstacles in her life. However, despite all these challenges, she continued to persevere and ultimately showcase the world of her capabilities as a proud Latina woman. Her tenacity to pursue a higher education inspires me daily and reminds me of the endless achievements I am capable of as a young woman. She reminds me daily to be proud of my background and empowers me to excel in all that I do.
Being a Latina woman with many leadership roles reflects the determination and cultural pride within us. We believe that it is not just about breaking barriers, but also paving the way for future generations. For women of all backgrounds, in order to embrace our heritage and pursue their aspirations with confidence. And that is what being a woman means to us.
Thank you.
Our final speaker on Women's History Month is Marianne Edwards.
I want to thank Don Skaggs for being the designated crier this evening, but everyone else is welcome to join in if you feel so led. Well, Mr. Chairman, commissioners, city staff, and everybody that's here, great job. I'm here to talk about one of Temecula's original leaders, and Stu mentioned it already, Pat Birdsall. And Temecula was always a township. In other words, this was Temecula, the core of Temecula was where all of the ranchers from Vail Ranch came to cash their checks and buy their groceries. And Temecula was actually located within the boundaries of Vail Ranch. So when we became a formal city in 1989, meaning we formed a government and we took over control of everything in Temecula, growth, development, all things like that. And that's one reason Temecula is such a great place. And Pat Birdsall was very active in the community and served on the formation committee, talking about how are we going to incorporate as a city. They did all the legal work. They worked with the state of California, the county of Riverside, and Temecula became a city, as I said, in 1989. And the election was held for the first city council at the same time that the vote was taken to become a city. And Pat Birdsall was elected to the original city council. So she served for 8 years, and she served as mayor, first lady mayor, in 1992, and she served again in 1997. Pat had such an influence on everything that the way Temecula's growth and advancement. She did a wonderful, wonderful job with her fellow council members. She passed away in 2006, and of course we named the sports park for her, Patricia H. Birdsall Sports Park, and we rushed it a little bit. She was very ill, and we made a point of having the park grand opening while she was still with us. So she got to see the park that bore her name. She passed away shortly thereafter. So when I became mayor for the first time in 2009, Dick Birdsall gave me a gift that he had saved. Pat had asked him to save this for me because I was on the city council when she was still alive. We were very close friends. And so I brought this today to show you. She was so active in the community, she actually served on the Balloon and Wine Committee for years and years, original member of the Balloon and Wine Committee. And so this is her official Balloon and Wine jacket from 1992. And it says Madam Mayor, so it reflects the year that she was mayor. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to donate this to the city of Temecula, but first I'm going to have it embroidered, and I'll hold it up so everyone can see. It's embroidered with her Balloon and Wine, and it says Madam Mayor on it. I'm going to have her name and the years that she served on the city council and as mayor embroidered on there. And after that, I'm going to have my name, the years that I served and when I was mayor, and we'll donate it to the city, and for here ever after, anytime there's a lady mayor, her name will be added to this jacket, and we can keep it at the city on display. And I think you might want to replace it with that bikini that's upstairs in that case that's made out of coconuts and seashells that was donated to us from the islanders that came and danced. I remember. You had those guys dancing right in front of you, didn't you, those Tahitian dancers? So I thought that'd be pretty cool. You know, she made such an impact and left a wonderful legacy for Temecula. And this jacket, which is very stylish, don't you think? 1992, it's very shiny. Yeah, so this jacket will reflect her service and dedication to the city of Temecula. So it's great to be here, and watch for this hanging in the showcase upstairs.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna lay down some guidelines real quick for the rest of the meeting. So we've been going about an hour and 15 minutes. We're gonna have some quick comments from our commissioners so we can get to the business, and then we're gonna take 5 minutes and come down. Well, please do not go, because we wanna take a picture with the group, with all our women. We wanna recognize you through photography. So again, some quick comments. I do say quick. Comments by commissioners, and then we'll roll into the rest of the business, okay?
Chair Faulkner, can we go ahead and announce that one other person that's in the room as well?
Yes. So let's maybe line it up. All right.
Okay.
So we have a trailblazer in the midst right now who's had a huge impact on the way Temecula looks. When you ride around, you see how beautiful our cities are. Look at this building we're in as well. It doesn't happen without having this amazing person on the team. So I want to hand it over to Randy to set this up for me.
Yeah, so this particular person that's amongst us actually joined the city of Temecula before I did. And when you look around this city, the parks, the public safety facilities, all of this, you got to have a really strong financial background, a really strong financial picture, a really strong financial oversight. We sit here in this building that through this individual's foresight and leadership of the finance department here in the city has just been paid off with little debt across the board. So we didn't want to, she's going to kill me.
That's
but,
okay.
we didn't want this moment to go by without recognizing our own Director of Finance, Jennifer Hennessy, who is in back of the room, and recognizing her. Jennifer, can you stand up? I'll buy you Starbucks later. There you go. So the commission, specifically Chair Faulkner, had asked for us to go ahead and honor you as well, Jennifer, this Women's History Month. So thank you for all the things that you do for this city.
Yes, thank you. So you can beat me up, Director Hennessy as well. So thank you so much. So quick comments by our commissions. We'll start with Stacey, Commissioner Dosh.
All right, so I've been listening to it all, holding back the tears, holding back the need to stand after every speaker and clap until my hands hurt. And I was thinking about what the overarching theme of tonight was. We have seen women involved in activism, women in leadership, women in technology, in the automotive industry, making roads in places that are traditionally dominated by men, breaking stereotypes. And through it all, I think that I've come to understand that if you want something, start something. It's been incredibly inspirational to me to see the number of women who are out there in our community starting something meaningful, starting something powerful, and following it through to make substantial change. I'm so proud of everyone. This was a tremendous night. Thank you so much, and happy Women's History Month.
Commissioner Leckerts.
Thank you, Chair Faulkner, and thank you all for joining us tonight. What a wonderful celebration, recognition of history, historical figures, women leaders, women in our own community. Great stories. I love the stories from the young people at the schools, and I was sitting here reflecting that the history is so important. History is not the past. History is the prologue. History tells us how we got where we are. And as I was listening to the celebration of history, the question in my mind was, why did that have to be? Why did Rosa Parks have to not give up her seat? Why did we have to wait 50 years for the Voting Rights Act to pass, for the suffrage to be given to women? Why is that? And the truth is that there are forces of injustice out there. And what we get to learn from history is that we can overcome those forces. And while we celebrate amazing women in the past, amazing women in our community today, we also know that we have to continue to fight. We have to continue to agitate. We have to continue to advocate. And hearing the testimonies, hearing the stories of the young women in this room gives me hope. I encourage you all to not just learn about history, but to be history makers. And so just am really encouraged by seeing you all and hearing your stories. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Steed.
Well, I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's so amazing to just sit here and listen to everybody from our youth on up to are ladies that have been around for a long time and really left their imprint on this community. And my hope is that our young leaders that are here today, our Girl Scouts, our students, our Boy Scouts that are here, that are listening, sometimes it seems like, oh, these old people will never be quiet. But you're in a position that you can soak it up all like a sponge, right? You are so fortunate that you have leaders and people in your life that are given so much effort into you, and you are our future leaders. You're our future advocates. You're our future community members. You're our future teachers, our educators. So thank you for being here. Thank you to all of their parents and teachers and leaders that have encouraged them and pushed them along the way, because they're going to be a tremendous asset to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilson? Commissioner Wilson?
Thank you very much. Chair Steve, Chair Faulkner, I just want to applaud all of you, the young women that are here, and then our women that are blazing the trail. You guys are an epitome of what our community is. And when I look out there and I hear the young women speak before us, I see the future leaders of Temecula. And we are a strong community just because you guys are here and you're making a difference. Auto mechanics, oh my God. And then the energy that I have from the young scout, young lady over here. Everybody want to be a scout. We need adult scouts. I guess that's what we are up here.
Oh, no.
But just to have that energy, and you guys love your community and you want to make a difference. You guys are every one of those trailblazers that I gave in our history of and our timeline. You guys are putting the effort forward, and that's what it means to be a leader. So keep doing what you're doing, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Commissioner Eventhoff?
I don't know about Women's History Month. I believe it should be Women's Future Month, or at least have a separate month that should be Women's Futures Month, because we've heard so many exciting things, so many new directions that we haven't seen ever, and now we're seeing it, and it's commonplace and it's exciting. Since we spoke so much about scouting, I do want to take a moment to remember a gentleman who was very instrumental in scouting throughout this area, Ken Nordstrom, who shaped the lives of a lot of scouts and a lot of people, men and women, through this region. I also want to encourage folks to get involved so that, get involved in AAUW, PEO, and all these other organizations that are shaping the future of both men and women. I'd like to thank Supervisor Chuck Washington for a recent appointment on the Workforce Development Board. Thank you. Also wanted to encourage folks that might be struggling to please check out workforce development at the county level and all the different programs that might be available for assistance to folks that, for whatever the impediment to employment or to a better life, exist already and can help. Don't just complain about the darkness, but turn on the light. Lastly, I do want to just say thank you all for being here. It means so much. It means so much to my fellow commissioners. It means so much to us. And we celebrate you, but we are so thankful that you're here. Thank you.
Vice Chair Pistorian?
Thank you, Chair Faulkner. It's rare where everything in your life converges in one moment. And this is that moment for me. And I cannot tell you how incredibly full my heart is tonight. I look out here and I see the young ladies in scouting, which is so important to me. I remember the day they announced that girls were allowed in the program. And I am just so thrilled that you have come to where you are. Caitlin, congratulations. That was a wonderful night. It continues to be a wonderful, as you all pave the way, it continues to be a wonderful and bright future. I can't tell you how much it means to sit here and watch Sarah and Calais. Every day that I get to spend time with you, you inspire me to be more. As an educator, as a woman, Truly, you make it worth it. To sit here and see all of the 4 young ladies that Dawn Skaggs brought up here, you have no idea. You build the spirit from Great Oak from the bottom up. So we say all the time that it's great to be part of the Wolfpack. Well, I have got to tell you, sitting right here tonight, it is phenomenal. Amy, your leadership is incredible. Alicia, you are amazing at what you do. All of you who are in this room right now, the support that I have, Marianne, for showing up tonight, thank you. Thank you. You are an incredible inspiration to the women that sit here, that do this, and to all of us that are on the dais, including Erica and Randy and Denise and Stacia and Jackie. We do this. It is hard to break barriers sometimes. It is hard to be in these seats, to hear the comments, to take in the things. Kathy, you know, just like I do, and you have seen it so much in terms of fighting those barriers. But we as women are so strong, and we continue to do that. And I am so incredibly proud of every single one of you in this audience who came here tonight, pulled a comment, stood up, and spoke your truth, and continued to pave a way for all of the young ladies that see you. Because you are being seen right now. Continue to be seen, continue to move forward, and be the person that you need, who you have in your life for someone else, because young ladies are watching. And so are us older ones, because you are the ones who inspire us to be better, to give more, to do more, and to achieve greatness. Nicole, thank you for doing what you do, because you honored some amazing women tonight in this district. It's really important. Michelle, what you've done out here is incredible. So I just want to tell you, it's a miracle sometimes when everything in the world collides and converges in one night, and tonight is that night as we celebrate women. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thanks to all to my commissioners for those comments. I'll be brief. They've said pretty much everything I want to say. But I want to tell you just a quick story about a young man coming out of Memphis, Tennessee, raised by an amazing mom, raising 4 kids. My first mentoring coach was my mom. You know, as a young man growing up, be transparent with you. A father walked away. She was the guiding hope of light in my life that really impacted me the most. Went into the Navy after graduating high school, and the first leadership person that I ran into that guided my career was a chief petty officer, female. Her name was Lori Shriver. She guided my career, and I, really guided me to making Master Chief, which is the highest enlisted rank in the Navy, in about 19 years. Pretty quick, but her leadership in that initial command that I came into, grabbing me, she asked me, she said, "You're going to be in a leadership position." I said, "No, I'm not." I thought I had an option, and she quickly let me know that it's not an option. You're going to be in leadership. So she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, So the impact on my life has been because of women. So I appreciate you. I appreciate celebrating you tonight, and let's continue to celebrate you every day. So with that said, Director, what would you have next?
Yes, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and take a quick 5-minute recess from the meeting. We're going to ask all of you to go ahead and come on forward. If you did have a proclamation that you had spoken to somebody about in my office, we have those available for you, and we're just going to take some group pictures. So 5 minutes. It's now 7:30. We will reconvene at 7:35.
Okay, we're coming in at 7:35. Come on down so we can get the shot.
Okay, Chair Faulkner, if you would like to go ahead and call the meeting back to order, and we can continue with business, sir.
All right, we're calling the REDI Commission back to order so we can get along with the agenda. So.
I'm following them.
All right.
So I just want to make sure, is Dolores here? Dolores, why don't you come on up and make your comment? So we did have two speakers, unfortunately, that filled out comments on non-agendized items, but I think they were sort of tied to that. So we're going to go ahead and let them speak, and then we'll get into Temecula Valley Hospital.
Gotcha.
Go ahead, Dolores. It should be on.
Okay, my name is Dolores DiMartino. I'm the current president of NAMI Temecula Valley, National Alliance on Mental Illness. We are one of 56 affiliates across the United States, and we provide mental health services, support groups, education, and advocacy for our Temecula people and the surrounding areas. We are at the Riverside County Behavioral Health Building, and we also have a new partnership with Temecula Valley Hospital. So we were just trying to, make awareness, on mental health and the impact that it has on the family members as well as a person suffering with mental health challenges. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So that actually was the two comments on non-agendized items.
Okay.
So we can go ahead at this point and welcome our Temecula Valley Hospital friends. We do have a report tonight, Commissioner Faulkner, Chair Faulkner, and balance of the commission by Chief Operating Officer Brian Visser. And he's going to share with us a little bit about the diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts over there at Temecula Valley Hospital and their efforts to serve various segments of our community. So welcome, Mr. Visser.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. So, as mentioned, I'm Brian Visser. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Temecula Valley Hospital. I've worked in totality for Temecula Valley Hospital for 3 years in 2 different stints. I've worked for Universal Health Services for 5 years, and we've been located in this community ever since. I'm a father of 3 boys, so it's interesting to see this room full of powerful women, and I was asking myself the question, well, I didn't have the opportunity to have a girl, so how do I help contribute? And I really was thinking to myself that, how do I make sure that my 3 boys grow into young men that aren't obstacles, right? That they understand the implicit advantage they've had in the world and that they will probably continue to have, and how do they make sure they're not in the way? And they're actually helping make it easier for equality going forward. So I just want to throw that out there in light of the month and what we're celebrating here with Women's History Month. So thank you for the comments today. It's been really inspiring to be here. So my comments are going to be focused. I'm trying to make this not as technical as it seems like it will be, because everything in hospitals and healthcare is very technical. But ultimately, I get the privilege of being the chair of a health equity committee at Temecula Valley Hospital. It's something I'm very passionate about. It's what I feel like one of our opportunities and obligations are as a facility, is to do that. And so we've been working on this for many years, but one of the things that really changed in 2023 is essentially in 2023, the regulatory body that governs hospitals in the United States, CMS, or the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, came out with a regulation that actually says hospitals are required to participate in efforts to improve health equity, right? And so I just want to provide some context that essentially we work largely off of what this definition of health equity is from CMS, and you can see it here on the screen. At a very high level, it says it's the attainment of the highest level of health for all people, where everyone has a fair and just opportunity to obtain their optimal health. Right? And I think that's one of the key elements here, is that phrase, optimal health. Health is unique to every individual person. Yes, there are measures, blood pressure, blood sugar, all of those things where we could say some people are healthier than others, but every individual's person concept and idea of health is inherently different. For some, it is, I want to live till I'm 105. For others, it may be, well, I want to be a performance athlete and I want to run a marathon in sub 3 hours, right? For most of us, it's probably somewhere in the middle. Right? But health is, in fact, something that is very, very different. And so what we are trying to make sure within our hospital and hospitals across the country is that we're trying to improve health equity by reducing some of the disparities that we know that exist. So essentially, effective in January of 2023, we really formalized a lot of these processes that we were working on. We've always known and we've always been working towards how we improve things with health equity, but we've had a much more formal structure with it since the mandate in 2023. So essentially, the Joint Commission, which is the branch of CMS that enforces the rules on the hospitals, has said you've got to do two things. First is you need to make this a priority, right? And reducing healthcare disparities and making patient safety has got to be a priority. It pretty much always has been for hospitals, but again, every hospital is different. It's certainly been a priority for Temecula Valley. And it says very specifically we need to do 4 things. We need to designate an individual to lead those activities. That's me. That's why I'm here tonight, right? We need to assess patient social needs and attempt to connect patients with community resources. We've always done this, right? But now we're looking at different ways to expand and enhance that. We need to use data to identify areas for improvement, which we're going to talk about, and we need to report out to stakeholders, right? One of the stakeholders we report out to is our governing board, right? We're also here reporting out to our community because our community is also a stakeholder. There's also a very specific rule about how we collect information in our medical record. We collect a lot of information. If you've been patients, know you fill out a lot of paperwork, you answer a lot of questions, it goes in the computer system, right? We track a lot when it comes to health equity. So there's very specific rules that we are supposed to meet to do that. So I'm going to talk about these 2 concepts overall and how we're achieving these at Temecula Valley Hospital. So essentially, how we're doing that is we're improving our health equity data collection. I'm going to talk more about that, and then we're going to talk about some of the projects we're working on to improve health equity at the actual patient level, because that's ultimately our goal, is we want optimal health and how we're actually improving health outcomes. That's what I care about. That's what we as a facility and an organization care about. So first, we're going to talk about equity data. So this is a dashboard that's created by our facility and all the hospitals within Universal Health Services. This was prior to 2023, and this was a readmission risk dashboard where you could stratify and look at data. This is very small, so I apologize. Not a great format, that it wouldn't pull in a great format for a PowerPoint presentation simply because there's a lot of data. But ultimately, if you look at this, you'll see that it's not super actionable, right? It's very difficult to say, okay, we know certain ethnic groups and individuals of a particular race may have more readmissions, but it doesn't really get into the nitty-gritty as to why, right? And so that's the gap. That was the issue as far as data that we needed to close. So we implemented last year a health equity assessment. So we used to have this data in different pieces in our medical record when patients would be admitted. We consolidated it all and we put it in one location. This is a required document that is filled out by our nurses whenever a patient is admitted to the hospital. And this was new. So essentially, this is the health equity assessment. There's coaching. There was a lot of education that went out to all of our staff. This is simply a little snapshot of what it looks like, of trying to capture what are the most common issues we know that are disparities in how patients access and get health care. So now this is required. So we complete this assessment on every patient that is admitted. We admit over 7,000 patients a year. Right? There's a lot of data here, and so we've had a year now to collect this data and work on action items to improve it. To give you some sense now of what this looks like, going forward, this is what our dashboards look like now, right? So this actually breaks it down. So you can see this is from the fourth quarter of the year. You can see that we did over 1,500 of these assessments in the year, and actually what are the most common disparities that we see. Essentially, the split in disparities across gender is actually nearly exactly 50-50 men and women. It's actually 2/3 of our disparities are in the age group between 40 and 64, right? So you can see, and you can dig even deeper into race and ethnicity to try to dive into this. I only brought a snapshot. There is literally any way you want to slice and dice this data, we have the ability to do just that. So then from here, we now have much more actionable data. You can look at whether or not we need to address the transportation needs of patients. That is our most common disparity that we are finding with patients. They're voicing to us when we do this assessment. They're having trouble getting transportation to and from their medical resources, right? As an acute care hospital, we've always made sure that patients can get home, right? So we get Ubers, we do home transport, we always make sure they can get home, right? But they have issues above and beyond that. It's not just getting home, it's getting to the pharmacy to pick up their medications when they're discharged. It's getting to that follow-up appointments within 7 days later, and we're going to talk more about that in a minute. That's the most common one that we see. It's actually pretty equal dispersion amongst our other disparities, with the lowest one being interpersonal safety, which is, that would be abuse or neglect. We don't see as much of that being reported as some of the other items that we see. And again, this is just 1 quarter of the year. So using this data now, we go back to our Health Equity Committee, right? And actually we feed this data not just to that committee, but all the committees in the hospital to try to drive improvements in actual clinical outcomes, as I mentioned. So these are just some examples of things that we're working on, right? Our goal in much of what we do in the hospital is, yeah, we like taking care of patients. That's what we want to do, right? At the same time, we also know that we want patients to get healed. We want them to get home. We don't want them to come back into our doors for the same reason they were here. We call that a readmission, right? One of our targeted focuses is reducing readmissions, right, for patients that were already in our care at one point, right? And this is a challenge depending on the patient's circumstance. We do find that disparities are one of the key reasons why patients end up being readmitted to our hospital. So we wanted to target and use this robust data set that we have to try to make improvements. So one of the things that we can look at the dashboard is we can actually break down by diagnosis. We can actually look at groupings of whether it's a cardiology patient or a neurology patient, right? In particular, we noticed a particular vulnerable patient population, which was our pulmonology patients, right? Or those with respiratory issues related to their lungs. We found that they were readmitting at a higher rate than some of our other patient groups, right? And what is it that we could do to try to address that? And the reason why we chose to target that particular group is because the number of physicians we have that work with that particular group is actually quite small. So it makes it very easy for us to work with those physicians in our hospital, right, to implement standardized practices and changes to try to help influence these patients. So we have actually partnered with another community resource, Neighborhood Healthcare, and I don't know if anyone knows what Neighborhood is. They're a federally qualified health center, and they do phenomenal work for patients, particularly those that are underserved. And so they've agreed basically to say, hey, we want to help you in the transition for these pulmonology patients. So our pulmonologists, when they're on the hospital, they identify these patients that would benefit. We have a direct phone line and connection to a neighborhood scheduler. We get them scheduled. The neighborhood will help arrange transport, their medications, right, and try to get those patients in within the first 7 days. What's a little bit different, though, is that this is truly a partnership where if they're visiting, if our patients then get to neighborhood and they notice there are challenges, neighborhood's then calling that pulmonologist, say, hey, by the way, they're having issues. We need you to see them in your outpatient clinics. We're really trying to close the loop for these patients in a way that is difficult to do with larger patient populations. And we just started this work a number of months ago. So we're actually going to turn this into a clinical research project with our residency program that's tied to the hospital and actually really study those clinical outcomes to see if we're really making a difference in the lives of these patients. That's one example of a project. The other project that we're working on impacts almost any patient that's discharged. 98% of our patients are discharged home with a medication. They need to take something to help them continue to get better. And while most of our patients don't have issues accessing those, a number of patients do have challenges accessing their medications. A lot of them want to use their home pharmacy because they know that pharmacy knows them, they want to use those resources, but if they don't have transportation to that pharmacy, we do get patients that come back to our doors because they didn't take their meds, because they couldn't get that pharmacy to take those medications. So what we've been trying to do is we've been working with, and we've got one pharmacy that's working with us right now, to do what we call a meds to beds program, where essentially we know a patient's discharging home, that pharmacy gets the orders, they actually deliver it to us, we take it to the patient's bedside, and they go home with it, right? It seems pretty simple, but when you look at all the different insurance companies and the logistics of payments and all those things, it's actually a little bit more complicated than it seems. We've been able to actually do this really well with our Medi-Cal population, right? Because Medi-Cal basically pays for all the pharmacies, or pays for all the medications, and they're contracted with pretty much every pharmacy. It gets more complicated when we find individuals that have other insurance products. It becomes logistically more challenging. The other challenge we have with this program is that the number of pharmacies, community pharmacies willing to work with us is fairly small because of the logistical challenges. And I wish I could, and just to be very honest, the big chain pharmacies, the Walgreens and CVS's, they won't partner with us. So we are limited to independent pharmacies to help us achieve this program because we're not licensed for an outpatient pharmacy. So patients don't want medications from our pharmacy because they're at an inpatient rate, they're just more costly. So we don't necessarily want to do that to patients either. So these are just a couple examples of what it is that we're trying to achieve when it comes to health equity using the data that we have to try to improve outcomes. Essentially, we've tasked all of the committees in our hospital, whether we're targeting stroke or cardiology, to use this robust data set that we have to figure out how within our own patient populations we can drive improvement and change. Health equity can't just be driven by one person and one committee. It has to become part of our culture and how we truly interface and try to drive change. And I think Temecula Valley has always done a very good job of this, and I think this recent change in the regulation has added some much needed structure to it. And just so you know, this applies to every hospital in our community. So everyone is working very similarly. We're sharing ideas and best practices, and it's a pretty exciting time to be working on this in our community here. With that, I'll take any questions.
Well, thank you for that brief, very informative, and we appreciate you bringing us up to date on what you're doing in the equity space as well. Commissioners, any questions? I see Commissioner Eventoff has a question.
No, go ahead. It is Women's Month.
I know, and that's why I said ladies first, but I guess. Anyway, I'm going to feel terribly guilty for the rest of this question. My understanding is that there are certain specialties that we're trying to recruit to this area that are having a difficult time getting certain doctors. Is that still true? Whether it's a breast cancer specialist or something to that effect. Is there anything in particular that you're doing to try to address that? And then I have a follow-up question.
Yeah, certainly. There are certainly specialties that are significantly a challenge, not necessarily here, but across the country. Like, for example, we have a number of very high-quality GI doctors here, right? But the number is very small. So, for example, we have 2 at Temecula Valley Hospital, right? I can guarantee you, I know which of the 2 is on call tonight. I know which one is in our labs right now taking care of patients. We've been trying to recruit for that as long as I've been working for the company. It's been very difficult for us to address that. Some other specialties, surgical, are also, again, very difficult. Some of the surgical specialties tend to be really focused in the the academic centers like the UCSDs and the Scripps and some of those larger centers, just because they come with the prestige. Part of some of the ways that we're trying to address this is 5 years ago we launched our own residency program here. So we get the opportunity now to teach and train our own residents. And that's actually a really strong attracting tool for recruiting specialty physicians because they want to teach. They want to be able to share this subspecialty that they have to be able to take care of them. Like, for example, just earlier this year, we did successfully get a hepatobiliary surgeon, which is essentially they handle liver and pancreatic surgery, right, in the abdomen. They're the only one in the area, right? They're the only one not in San Diego. So it's a great addition to our community. Individuals that have cancers in the abdomen that otherwise would have had to transfer and go down to San Diego can now get that service here in Temecula Valley. So that's one of the ways that we're trying to address that. But again, there's a shortage of physicians overall, and so we're addressing it the best we possibly can.
And this question I'm asking for a friend. On the dashboard, it said that there was difficulty with utilities.
So essentially that question, and that's some of the clarity that we always need to dive into. Sometimes do you have difficulties paying for your utilities, or are your utilities currently off, right? Because we do find people that we need to identify, is it safe to transfer them, discharge them home or not, right? If they don't have power or running water, probably not safe to discharge someone home. So when we ask that question, that's sort of the context. The other thing that I didn't share that I should have is that whenever that assessment is done and any of those boxes are checked yes, that automatically creates a consult to our social work department. So a social worker is going to follow up with those patients. The benefit of this assessment and doing it right on admission is that we're catching these issues early when they're there. So we can start to work with them so that we have the time to get them the resources they need. So when they're ready to go home, we're not keeping them at the hospital longer than they need to, because no one wants to be in the hospital longer than they need to, right? And we can get them the most appropriate resource from the community to help that.
Awesome. Commissioner Rose?
So I just want to thank you for being here. I know it's been a long day for you. I just wanted to applaud Temecula Valley Hospital for all the awards that you guys have won, and you're like A+ in almost everything. So applaud you guys for that. Now I noticed in the survey it was like over 700 participants that didn't even fill out the survey. Is there something that you guys could do a little different or try a different mechanism just to get more people to take part in that?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a difficult balance, right? We certainly are educating our staff on the best way to build that rapport with their patients so that happens. A couple of things that we're working on, first of all, is it can be difficult to ask some of these very heavy questions, right, when someone's first admitted. So we're working with our staff to maybe after they've worked the patient for a couple of days to go back and do it again, because we might get more feedback in that particular piece, right? So that's one of the strategies, is maybe more frequent touch points on this particular topic will get us there. At the same time, patients have the right to make their own decisions, right? So we don't necessarily want to think that patients aren't getting the right to say, I don't want to participate in this, because patient autonomy is a patient right in the United States. And so it's a little bit of a balance, but we are definitely encouraging and working with our bedside staff to make them more comfortable having these conversations. Since the pandemic, we do have a lot of new graduate nurses, right? These are young nurses, right? That's makes up over half of our staff are people with less than 5 years of experience as a nurse. And they're very good, and we do a very good job educating them. But sometimes with that work experience comes being able to build a relationship of trust more quickly with our patients so that they'll be more willing to open up to us. So it's an ongoing effort, because that is one of the numbers we track. We want that number to trend better, and I know that number seems like a lot, but it's a lot better than it was 12 months ago.
Okay, that's really good. Well, we here at the REDI Commission, if there's anything that we can do, we love the hospital, we support the hospital, just reach out and let us know.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? All right. Commissioner Electors?
Thank you so much. Very impressed by the data analysis and the intention towards the diversity, equity, inclusion.
Thank you.
So disparities exist because of circumstances, lack of resources, but they also exist because of myth-based narratives. And we know we hear about that from the medical field. I'm not a medical expert by any means. So I'm curious if you're doing anything around mindset shifts and narrative, correcting myth-based narratives like different pain thresholds based on race or ethnicity, or any those kinds of things. Does that make sense? Does the question make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yes, those myths exist. I think we're very fortunate in the 400 or so physicians that we have based here at Temecula Valley Hospital. I don't hear of any of those kind of myths being perpetuated by the medical professionals, right? And I think that's where the clout of those professionals adds a lot of how we dispel those, right? We need a physician to stand in front of a patient and say one way or the other, right? The data doesn't support that myth, right? And ultimately, we're going to treat you this way because this is the appropriate way to treat these patients based on the science, right? That's another emphasis for, again, having our teaching program with residents, or anyone that's rounding our hospitals, rounding with residents, they have to be up to date on current data. So we really lean on the physicians to help drive that change, as well as, we do interdisciplinary rounds with our physicians and our nurses. We encourage our physicians to teach our nurses at the bedside when they're talking to patients together. So hopefully all that transcends down so that we're sort of breaking some of those myths. I think at the same time, we are also, as a hospital, launching many different educational events, clinical symposiums focused on special diagnoses, whether it's from mental health to cardiac disease, other things like that, and inviting the general public to come and participate. We just had one on heart failure, last month. So we're going to be having those on a monthly basis, and those are open to the public to attend those.
Great, thanks. Just one other thought, and only because I didn't hear you mention it, and that I appreciate the survey and the data around patients and their experiences. Do you have mechanisms to actually talk to patients about their experiences to get the voice of the lived experience and how they're experiencing what they've received from the hospital.
Absolutely. We actually have a really robust rounding program. I realize nurses and everyone else round. If you are a manager or director in our facility, which we have over 40 of, you're expected to round on patients every day. So I'm assigned 3 rooms every day, and my expectation is I will go between 2 and 3 p.m. every day, and I will round on patients. And so I'm assigned to those 3 rooms, and then they change every month, and I go to those 3 rounds, and I talk to those patients. So we, and me as an executive, I can tell you the other thing we're doing as executives is we are actually paired once a week with one of our physician leaders, and we go around with a doctor, and we talk to patients at the same time. So we actually have a tool on an iPad that we use where we can collect feedback from the patients and aggregate it in real time based on their experience, and actually track and trend what we're seeing from their anecdotal feedback to try to make improvements. I can tell you just anecdotally, the biggest thing we see is the biggest frustration our patients see is when you have a lot of specialists working on care is how do we make sure they're all communicating to each other and they're all sort of on the same page. That's the biggest challenge that we have. I'm very proud of the other feedback that we get. Our staff are very compassionate and kind, and I realize I'm biased, but this community is very lucky to have such a high-performing hospital here.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Anything? Outstanding.
I took too long. Thank you very much.
No,
I
you
appreciate
didn't.
your
No,
time.
no, you didn't. Mr. Fisher, thank you so much for the brief. Appreciate it. All right. Commissioner Secretary, are there any other public comments on non-agenda items?
No.
None? Okay, great. We'll roll into to approving the minutes. So can I get a motion to approve the minutes for 8 February 2024 in a second?
I so move. Second. Do we get a motion? Okay, a second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Vice Chair Pastorian and a second by Commissioner Wilson.
Correct.
I'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Commissioner Deutsch?
Aye.
Commissioner Evantov?
Aye.
Chair Faulkner?
Aye.
Commissioner Lecters?
Aye.
Vice Chair Pastorian?
Aye.
Commissioner Steed?
Aye.
And Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Thank you, that passes.
Thank you so much. And now we'll roll right into the business items. Director, would you like to set up the first?
Yes, Chair Faulkner.
Yes.
We're actually going to go ahead and receive the presentation for the Quality of Life Master Plan, website and dashboard next, and you're welcome to provide any general recommendations regarding the same, and then we will go into the budget, as some of this information may inform your budget engagement session.
Thank you so much, Director. Hello. How you doing, man?
Good evening, Chair Faulkner and Commissioners. Thank you for letting me go before Director Hennessy. I've been here since 2004, and this is the shortest presentation I've ever given. It's actually 5 slides, and I think it sets up the next budget or agenda item well.
Thank you.
I'll start there. So the city manager asked me to visit all of the commissions and inform them of the Quality of Life Master Plan website. So you received a staff report prior to the meeting tonight. Hopefully you had a chance to look at it. If you haven't, it's temeculaca.gov/QLMP. The QLMP 2040 is a visionary document. It expresses the aspirations, ideals, and strategic priorities of the city and the community, and it was adopted November 2022. I'd also like to thank Chair Faulkner and Commissioner Wilson for participating in the Blue Ribbon Committee that helped create this document.
Thank you, sir.
This is the landing page, or a portion of the landing page for the website. It identifies the 7 core values. They're circled in red at the top. I won't read all of them, but you can see across the top it starts with a safe and prepared community and then ends with equity, the latest core value and the 7th core value. The plan and website contain performance indicators based on the core values, and all capital improvement projects, and the operating budget are evaluated for their adherence to the core values. So that's why I asked to be moved up on the agenda, is this document helps set up the next item, which is all about the budget. And if you have an opportunity, I did provide a hard copy of the document. There's one 11 by 17 page in the document, and that's your cheat sheet for the next agenda item. Those are the citizens' priorities for the next 20 years, and those should help give you some suggestions for input in the budget. The website is a digital and interactive version of the document. Each core value has a designated page that includes indicators measuring progress, goals and objectives, and a listing of accomplishments. I mentioned the Citizens 20-year priority timeline. This document is a community resource to see what we've done, what we're doing, and where we're going. And with that, I will end with a slide of the landing page, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, any questions?
Mr. Faulkner, we do have 2 public comments on this item.
Do we wait for the questions later, or we? Either way. Okay, we'll do the questions and then go to the public comments. Okay, great. Commissioners? Any commissioners have a question? Oh, Commissioner Wilson.
No, it's just a really nice presentation put together. Thank you so much for all the input and for leading the group to do this. I know there was long meetings, but thank you for all your hard work in doing this.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners? No? No?
Chair Faulkner, I think just for historical purposes, because not all the commission members were here at the time, but this particular commission was the leading commission on that 7th core value,
Yes.
that equity core value. We want to thank you for all of the time. You spent a good 6 months on developing that equity core value and coming up with the appropriate language, working with the consultant, I think Doug was his name, really, and Matt as well, and really digging into the details of what equity in our community meant and how it could be applied and what measuring pieces with the indicators you really wanted in there. And all of those recommendations were forwarded from you all to the Blue Ribbon Committee, and then the Blue Ribbon Committee to the council. So what you saw adopted, what is before you in written form that was adopted back in 2023 is the culmination of the collective work of this commission. It started with this commission. Oh. So I have a framed copy of the equity core value hanging in my office, because without this commission, that would not have happened. So thank you again for your work on that.
Commissioner Evatoff had a question.
So this is a report on a survey on the perceptions that are seen amongst the community, not necessarily the actual numbers of or comparison of how we're doing, say, against other cities, or how we stack up perhaps on a more objective standard. These are survey numbers?
So the Quality of Life Master Plan process began with a survey. We refer to it as the True North Survey. It's kind of our community report card. So we hired a consultant. We asked a number of questions of the community. It was a statistically valid survey. That information was used to inform the Blue Ribbon Committee and the processes we went through in developing the core values and our goals and objectives.
So if the respondents aren't necessarily up on what a specific topic is, but they're reporting perception, that's what colors this report, not necessarily what's actually happening.
The survey is basically our report card, and it's their perception in response to the questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The one other thing I did want to mention is how these core values are utilized, because I think that is when we look at, especially from a REDI Commission lens and the REDI Initiative lens, it's really important. One of the things that the REDI Initiative in 2020 wanted to address under the 3rd phase was addressing systemic behavior, addressing institutional behavior. And so some of these things, especially in the space of equity, you have to remember that our annual budget, not only are the capital improvement projects tied to these 7 core values, our annual departmental goals are also tied to these 7 core values. Right. So every single department is responsible for action for their actions related directly to these 7 core values. So it's just, this is one of those fundamental, when we look at it from a systemic institutional standpoint, the fact that the budget engagement session is happening tonight, this was one of those things that we put into place to make sure that we are addressing some of these core concerns that we heard when we were talking about the REDI initiative.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd like to jump in because, Commissioner Wilson had initially, and I came on board and started spending time with the Blue Ribbon Committee as we were walking through this. Not only did our commission have impact on just the 7th core value, but we had an impact on all the values. Our feedback went into developing all the updates to the values overall. So another thing I want to say on all transparency, how this went. I was in the community when they were doing surveys at events to get feedback from our residents on pouring into these core values and collecting that, and also the transparency of open meetings where they could come and sit in and see those discussions happen real time. So it was a great discussion. Matt and team did an amazing job making sure that there was representation from every aspect of the community that was there, and also getting the feedback from the residents to try to pour into the plan to make sure it's going to be effectively and really read to the feedback that was given. So I want to say great job on the document, great job on the work you did and making sure you got feedback, not only from us who are working as the commissioners and some of the people that are working around the city, but our residents. So which that's what we're about, that's what we're here for. So I appreciate and applaud you guys for going out there and pulling that data and then moving forward on that as well. So thank you so much.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah, I've got a question from Adam. Another question.
Will there be another report that actually measures, let's say walkability? Average, there's several topics we could cover, but average, let's say, distance of apartments or high residential to shopping centers and walkability compared to a nationwide standard or something that's similar. I think I look at the low scores that were perceived on sports and recreation and community stuff. And having worked in 20 plus cities now, seeing these low scores, is there some sort of objective standard that we can measure? Because we produce a lot of events, we produce a lot of parks, we have a lot of programs, and the programming here may not be perceived as enough, but maybe way above an objective standard of some sort. So I was curious if there's another report that would come out that would shape, let's say, the general plan amendment or something like that.
Yeah, our next step is we'll be updating the general plan. We expect that to be a 2 to 3 year process, but that is the next step. This quality of life master plan and that process serves as the basis for that. But to answer your question, you mentioned some of the scores, and it depends on whether or not you're looking at the survey results or the indicators. But I would add that the indicators are specifically objective so that they can be measured. And a good example of that is we're a bronze level bicycle-friendly community. That means we have so many miles of bike lanes and trails, and we're measured on a number of different factors. We just moved up to silver this last year, and that's because we continue to build trails, stripe more bike lanes, and it's measurable, it's objective, and that's what allowed us to get to silver. We have a number of indicators like that. I would also add that the indicators on the website and in the document are a snapshot in time. Those are from 2022. And then Randy mentioned that in the annual operating budget, we do have a tab, it's performance measures, and all of the departments report back on how what is being proposed in the CIP or in the budget help implement our core values. And we measure that annually, so each year it gets updated. I do expect the website to get updated later this year. So we'll have kind of a running tab. In 2022, here were our scores, and in 2024, here's the update. We got better here, we need improvement there.
Awesome. Any other questions, commissioners? No other questions? So thank you, Mr. Peters, for the brief. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
for
much.
what you do with the piazza.
Thanks.
Are there any public comments?
Yes, we do. Our first speaker is Laurel Lamont, to be followed by our final speaker, Melissa Bourbonnais.
Okay, I looked over that quality of life master plan. In my humble opinion, equity should be at the front of that line, because without it, all of those other things are not accessible for the totality of a community. And in the interest of shining a light in the darkness, we tend to think of our local economic workforce as transitional. We need to stop doing that. If the job exists, the housing needs to exist. Full stop. The diversity of the workforce is vast. Gay, straight, married, single, young, old. It is my people, the workforce, the reason Upward Community was designed and developed was to represent people who don't have access to attainable home ownership within the communities they serve. These books here help to outline and show solutions and ways we can get to diversity of housing within communities. There are so many things we can do that we aren't doing as a city. There are CLTs. Yes, Habitat is one way, but it doesn't serve all of the workforce. I make too much to qualify for Habitat, much like I make too much to qualify for the affordable housing in town. I'm a full-time grocer. I'm not a transitional job. Guess what? We have one manager and 150 employees. Do you know what it costs to replace those employees? Do you know what drives up costs? Teaching and training new employees. We need to advise city council and city staff on new ways and encourage better opportunities for housing. We need a big, everything needs to be on the table. Everything. Affordable housing, community land trusts, Habitat, partnerships with corporate entities that supply a lesser local economic earner. Target, Costco, it is in our housing element to seek funding through these companies. We want them here. We need the employees. Let's get the money. Let's create better. Let's create new. Let's lead the way. Across this country, this is a problem. That we are not unique to this, but we can be unique to solving the problem. We can start. Let's diversify our housing stock and not limit it to just apartments and single-family homes. Please take a snapshot of this. These books are valuable books. They show new ways of doing things, of creating housing for our local economic workforce. Let's do better. Let's educate ourselves on what we don't really understand. And you know why I'm an agitator? Because things don't get clean without agitation. Things don't move without agitation. And there is no hustle to make things move when you are not in need. I'm in need. My people are in need. So we are agitated. Please help us live within the communities we serve. Thank you.
Our final speaker is Melissa Bourbonnais.
Hi, good evening. I'm Melissa Bourbonnais, and as you know, I'm here tonight representing Upward community. I'm also here as a woman and a proud mom and a daughter and a best friend, and I would like to continue the important conversation Laurel Lamont just started. The Quality of Life Master Plan looks great. I reviewed it as well. Those words, again, to point out words are beautiful, just like the words we've heard tonight. Equity, diversity, it's words that are inspiring. Some of the women that came up here and spoke tonight, they were inspiring. But words only get us so much, right? The warm and fuzzy feelings kind of fade off. You go home, you go to bed, the alarm goes off in the morning, and then your day starts all over again. And if you don't agitate, as Laurel pointed out, nothing will change. And all the women that we recognize tonight, whether in history, whether the unsung heroes, or the young women, the scouts that were so passionate, that were amazing, and came up here and boldly spoke. It's only action that opens up those opportunities, not strictly words. And all the acknowledgments that we recognize, it doesn't seem like it now because it's assumed that women get to vote. It's assumed that women can become doctors and lawyers. It's taken for granted. But once upon a time, there were people like me, like Laurel, like the women mentioned tonight who have made history, who weren't liked, who were ignored when they were up here speaking, who were talked about when they went home. All of the women before us weren't liked. They were agitators because they were fighting against practices. They were fighting against the status quo. They were fighting for equity, for real, true equity in real life when we get off work and go home and have a home to go to. So while we talk about these accomplishments, all these words, all these warm and fuzzy words, please consider your own biases because you have them. Please consider today's status quo and whether or not it's appropriate, whether or not it fits the notion of equity. Because once upon a time, women couldn't vote because women were considered not smart enough to be involved in political affairs, not strong enough to handle the dirt and the politics. Once upon a time, women couldn't participate in marathons, right? Not until 1966, Bobby Gibbs, if you're familiar with her. She had to sneak in, she had to wear a hoodie and sneak in to participate in the Boston Marathon because women weren't allowed to participate. Women weren't allowed to participate because the social norms of the day deemed women not physiologically fit to run a marathon. Any marathon that existed for women, we were capped at 1.5 miles because the prevailing sentiment of the day was that women weren't fit in the 1920s to vote, in the 1960s to run. The prevailing sentiment of today tends to be that if somebody rents, it's because they don't work hard enough. It's because they didn't go to school. It's because they didn't do the right thing. And it's their problem. The prevailing sentiment among society, to include the workforce, is that they've done something wrong. The housing crisis is the fault of the workforce. And that just isn't true. If you read the books, if you do the research, that's a political talking point. It's just not factually true. So I challenge you to please evaluate your biases. Look at the status quo. See if it aligns with your core values. And do the research, because the housing crisis is the fault of government. That's the truth. That's the factual, objective truth. And we'll walk you through that history. Upward will walk you through that history to include recommending books. But we can't walk you through that history in under 5 minutes. So I would just challenge you to think about that, because you're in charge and you can make a difference just like the men and women before you.
Any other public comments? That's it? Okay. Randy, Director Joe, if you can line us up for the next business item?
Yes.
The next business item is our budget engagement session to be provided by our Finance Director, Jennifer Hennessy. Thank you, Mr. Visser. We appreciate you coming.
Thanks, Mr. Visser. Have a good night. Hello, Director Hennessy. Thank you for being here tonight.
Good
Oh,
evening.
It's a long one.
So I brought reinforcements
I
this
see.
time.
I see. We love reinforcements. I love it.
So we are going to tag team this presentation tonight. But first, I do want to thank you for the proclamation. That was very kind. As Randy knows,
let me stop. You do an amazing job. I'm gonna say it again, and so I just want to again put that plug in there. Let me be quiet and let you go ahead.
Thanks. Not a fan of the spotlight, but I appreciate the gesture, so thank you. Alrighty, so the budget engagement session. Budget engagement sessions are held each year in the beginning of the budget process to gather feedback from each of the city's commissions regarding budget priorities. Commission's feedback will be consolidated and shared with the full council at their budget workshop. Tonight, our budget team will be presenting and will provide a brief overview of the city's budget process, highlights of our current budget, and will share the results of the Quality of Life Master Plan Survey. The city's budget team consists of myself, our Assistant Finance Director, Ward Comers, Fiscal Services Manager, Paula Majors, who is primarily focused on the coordination of the Capital Improvement Program budget, and Senior Accounting Technician, Catlin Dorsett, who coordinates the development of the annual operating budget. So first we'll hear from Catlin on the budget process.
All right. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Catlin. I'm going to walk you through our budget process. So in January of each year, we complete the mid-year update, which means we look at our actuals for both revenues and expenditures to then determine if more or less budget is needed for the remainder of the fiscal year. At the same time, we do a revenue forecast for the coming year, and also the preliminary 5-year projection, which serves as the foundation for the next year's annual operating budget. In February, In February, our internal departments will submit their budget requests for the coming year, and City Council will review and approve the mid-year budget requests. In March, we begin to hold the budget engagement sessions with our city commissions, much like we're doing this evening with you. And we also meet with each individual department to review their budget requests. In April, our budget team will develop the proposed operating and capital budgets, which we then bring forward to our city council for review at the council budget workshop in May. Typically in June, the council will adopt the final operating and capital budgets. This year, however, it will be held in May. There are various factors that guide the city's budget, including the Quality of Life Master Plan, feedback from the commissions, prior year programs and projects that are not yet completed and need to be carried over to the next year, program and services master plans, including the multi-use trails and bikeways master plan, and also city council policies, all of which help shape the recommendations for operating and CIP budgets. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our fiscal services manager, Paula Majors, to go over some of the CIP highlights. Thank you.
I am Paula Majors. Good evening, Commissioners. The Capital Improvement Program is a comprehensive 5-year plan that addresses the capital needs of the city. Capital projects are those that cost over $30,000, have long-term lifespans, and are generally non-recurring. The fiscal years 24 through 28 CIP is the largest in the city's history, with $819 million in total cost. The city has identified funding sources totaling $606 million, or 74% of the total CIP. The remaining $213 million is unspecified at this time. However, before construction begins on any of these projects, a funding source will be identified. This evening, we would like to highlight a few of our CIP projects. French Valley Parkway Phase 2. This $138 million project is currently under construction and is estimated to be completed in May of 2025. This project will alleviate the bottleneck on northbound I-15 between Winchester Road and the I-215 junction. The Las Haciendas Affordable Housing Project is located off Jefferson Avenue, includes the construction of a 77-unit affordable multi-family housing community. The project includes $10 million in city funding. All units are leased for buildings 1 and 2, and building occupancy has begun for building 1. Construction on the I-15 Congestion Relief Project, a $9.2 million auxiliary lane between Temecula Parkway and Rancho California Road, is scheduled to begin soon and is expected to be complete in October 2024. At the meeting of the 2/29/24 Council, Council approved the authorization to solicit construction bids for the pickleball courts project, which includes 17 dedicated courts located at the Ronald Reagan Sports Park. The $3.3 million project is estimated to take approximately 4 months to complete. The Ronald Reagan Sports Park hockey rink is a $2 million project that recently went to bid and is being evaluated by Public Works. The project will include a complete renovation of the hockey rink to install new flooring material and roof structure, bleachers, and various ADA compliance improvements. I'd like to turn the presentation over to our Director of Finance, Jennifer Hennessy, who will discuss the city's annual operating budget and the debt liability paydown status.
Thank you, Paula. So the city follows what's called fund accounting principles, which requires revenues and expenditures to be tracked in separate and distinct funds. And while the city has over 70 individual funds, tonight we're just going to focus on the main operating funds. So the first is the general fund, and it is the primary operating fund for the city, and its revenues are unrestricted so long as it's spent for a public purpose. The general fund revenue for fiscal year 23-24 is just over $108 million and is decreasing from the prior year by 6.3%. Most of the revenue is derived from sales tax, which fluctuates with the economy, and 28% of sales tax revenue comes from the auto sector. So with the rising interest rates, the number of auto sales has decreased in recent years, and actually nearly all sectors of the economy are showing decreases from the prior year. The license and permits category also shows a decline as development activity within the city has slowed down. Overall, we keep a close eye on the economic indicators, and we will adjust revenue projections accordingly. The general fund supports the majority of the operations within the city with a total budget of $96.4 million for fiscal year 23-24, and a little over half is dedicated to public safety with a police budget of $41.7 million, and the city's portion of the fire budget is $11.7 million. An additional $11 million is provided through the county's structural fire tax for a total fire budget of nearly $23 million. Administration includes city council, city manager's office, city attorney, city clerk, finance, and the HR departmental budgets. And public works makes up 21% of the general fund budget, while community development totals 9%. The non-departmental category shows a decrease due to the anticipated savings we will achieve through the paydown of the pension liability. This chart shows the general fund revenues and expenditure trends, and the revenues, which are shown in the green line there, exceed expenditures each and every year, indicating that the general fund is structurally balanced throughout the 5-year forecast. This chart shows the trend in fund balance, which is the cumulative difference between revenues and expenditures. And per budget policy, the city shall keep 25% of our operating expenditures set aside for emergency purposes. The blue bars on the chart show fund balance, and the yellow diamonds show the desired emergency reserve levels. And the general fund balance is expected to fully fund the 25% emergency reserve each and every year. The excess fund balance over the reserve requirement has declined steadily since 21-22, as it's been strategically used to pay down the city debt. Measure S is the second largest unrestricted fund within the city, and Measure S is the 1 cent sales tax that was approved by voters back in 2016, and it's tracked in its own fund for maximum transparency. For fiscal year 23-24, Measure S is projected to be just under $40 million. It's increasing slightly over the prior year, mostly due to interest earnings. And after Measure S was approved, the council at the time adopted Measure S appropriation guidelines, which prioritize the use of these tax dollars. The first priority is to ensure public safety staffing levels keep pace with population growth. The $5.4 million dedicated to public safety reflects the cost of 11 police officers, staffing for Fire Station 95, and the future replacement of the recently acquired fire ladder truck. These funds are transferred to the general fund to support the police and fire budgets. The second priority for Measure S is to fund the asset management program, which is essentially several reserve funds, or if you can think of them as savings accounts, established to provide the necessary funding to replace the city's assets when the assets reach the end of their useful life. We have replacement funds set up for technology, fleet, facilities, copiers, and street maintenance. Capital project funding is the third priority, although based on the pie chart, it looks like it's the largest allocation. This is due to the carryovers from prior years, as capital projects often take several years to complete. Funding necessary to maintain the community services operations is the final priority, and 20% of Measure S is transferred to the TCSD budget for this purpose. The TCSD fund, it's actually a separate and distinct legal entity known as the Community Services District. And it has a separate budget including the TCSD operations, the library, and various service levels. The TCSD operations revenue is projected for 23-24 to total $17.9 million, of which 74% is supported by the Measure S transfer. Measure C is the $74.44 parcel tax that was approved back in 1997, which provides just under $2 million for TCSD funding. And then program revenue is $2.8 million, and that includes fees received for aquatics lessons, theater tickets, day camp, contract classes, and facility rentals. TCSD operations budget for 23-24 totals nearly $18.8 million and is broken into several different divisions as shown here. The operations division is the largest at $4.5 million because it includes the internal service fund allocation for all of the other divisions shown here, which makes up about half of that budget. Okay, shifting gears to our debt liability paydown status. So as you may recall, back in December of 2022, the council adopted what's known as the city's debt and liability paydown strategy, whereby the city would pay down all of its facility debt and unfunded liabilities over a 7-year period. The 2 facility loans for the Civic Center and the Margarita Recreation Center have been paid off in full. Sorry, catching up. The OPEB, or what's called other post-employment benefits, also known as retiree health benefit, that unfunded liability has also been paid in full. And previously, our liability was at $5 million, but after an updated actuarial valuation report, the balance was reduced to $3.5 million, which was just paid down about a month ago, or 2 months ago. And then the pension liability reflects the future benefit cost related to employees' CalPERS retirement. When the paydown strategy was adopted in 2022, the unfunded portion of the pension liability was $52 million. However, with the updated valuation report, that liability has grown to $61.7 million. This liability is revalued every year, and with fluctuations based on several different factors, including the CalPERS investment returns, payroll costs, and employee mortality rates. To date, we've paid off $22 million of this liability, and we have programmed in our 5-year projections to pay off the remainder of the unfunded liability, as this chart shows, and we believe that it will still be achievable to pay off in 7 years. Once the liability is paid off in full, the city will be saving between $5 and $6 million annually and will have saved over $30 million in pension interest cost. We're very fortunate to have the ability and the resources to execute this paydown strategy very much. Okay, I'm going to now turn it over to our Assistant Director, Ward Comers, who's going to walk you through the results of the survey. Thanks.
Get adjusted here. Excuse me. Thank you, Commissioners. Ward Comers, Assistant Finance Director. One of 2 men in the Finance Department, so the women are very well represented. As part of the fiscal year 24-25 budget process, each of the city's commissions are being asked to provide feedback on prioritizing the goals for the core values identified in the QLMP. And here's where I'd normally say, what is the QLMP? And talk about that for a while, but Matt Peters in the previous agenda item went through all these things, so I really don't need to go into a lot of detail. But it's basically the strategic plan for the city. And as Matt mentioned, all of our departmental performance measures are tied to the QLMP and the core values, and capital improvement projects are tied to those as well. And then here's where I would also talk about the 7 core values, but Matt kind of went into those a little bit too, so I'll save you that. But these are them, and so those are our guiding principles, right? So on to the budget engagement survey. We surveyed the 4 commissions, Community Services, Traffic Safety, Planning, and REDI, for feedback on prioritizing the goals that are listed in the QLMP. Each core value has several goals. Some core values have 10 goals, some have 4, some have 5, etc. Also, we asked to help prioritize projects on the 20-year priority timeline. So Matt also talked about that. That's the fold-out page in the QLMP. There are 51 capital improvement projects listed on that timeline. 16 of the projects remain to be planned, so we asked for feedback about prioritizing your top 5 projects. And then we're going to take those results and we're going to share it with the City Council. So let's talk about the results. Core value 1, which is safe and prepared community. The goals are on the left-hand side, and the survey results are on the right-hand side. So the top 2 priorities are ensure that funding for public safety remains highest priority and continue to be one of the safest cities in the nation. Those are the top 2. And now with the fancy green X's, you can see how the REDI Commission ranked the priorities, or these goals for this core value. Moving on to core value number 2, transportation, mobility, and connectivity. Again, the goals are on the left, survey averages on the right. The top goal is maintain and improve roadway. The second goal is promote job growth in Temecula. The REDI Commission's results, very similar. Moving on to core value number 3, healthy and livable city. Again, the goals are on the left. The survey results are on the right. The top goal is supporting a healthy and active lifestyle. The second top goal is be a sustainable community. The results of your commission, again, very similar. One thing to note is there's a difference between the third from the bottom, be a diverse community that values and supports people of all ages. Not surprising that the REDI Commission would rank this higher than the other commissions. So you all passed. Okay. So that is actually, if I line it up right, that is actually your top priority. So moving on to core value number 4. Goals are on the left. Survey results are on the right. The top goal is encouraging broadening of higher education. Close second there is provide entrepreneurial culture. Your commission's results, again, you can see there that the second priority is would be your top priority. Not surprising again. So you're consistent, that's good. Core value number 5, sustainable and resilient city goals. Goals are on the left. Results are on the right. So top goal is ensuring safe and sufficient water supplies. Second top is the most sustainable city in Southern California. Your commission's results, very close there. Moving on to core value number 6, accountable and responsive city. Goals are on the left. Survey results are on the right. Top goal is provide consistently professional services. The second, we got a two-way tie, flexible organization, and ensuring transparency. Your commission's results, again, very close. Moving on to core value 7, which is equity. Goals are on the left. Survey results are on the right. Top goal is support fair and equitable treatment of all human beings. And your commission's results are in the green. Again, not surprising. Moving on to the top priority timeline, or the future projects, or the top 5. The projects are on the left. Survey results are on the right. So we have a two-way tie for the top project. That's the Murrieta Creek Bridge and coordinating acquisition of Fire Station 12. There's a four-way tie for the rest there out of the top 5 or top 6, which is the Western Bypass Corridor, Southside Senior Center, Climate Action Plan, and then completing the Temecula Loop Trail. Your commission's results are not that line, but they are right here. Oops, let's go back. Don't go there yet. Interestingly here, for, I guess, there's a 8-way tie, I think, for second place with your commission. But 2 top priorities are very clear. That is the Fire Station 12 and Climate Action Plan. So those are the top projects. And that completes my portion of the presentation. I'll turn it back over to Jennifer. Thank you.
So we want to thank you for participating in the survey. I think the results were pretty interesting. You can see kind of how you rank with all the other all the other commissions. So at this time, we're open for questions, or if you have any questions on the slides or want to go back and look anything further, just let us know. We can
Commissioner Everton
rewind.
has a question.
How does the dumpster fire of the state budget affect or inform our budget?
Fortunately, we're pretty independent from being reliant on state funding. So while they do have a dumpster fire, I like that. We're always.
If I exaggerate, please,
Yeah.
please stop me.
We're always cautious of what the state may do. Through my tenure as a finance director, they have come in and demanded payments from cities several times. But in response to that, there's been quite a few bills that have been passed that protect cities' assets and protect city financing. So right now, I'm not aware of any threats of any mandatory payments. A lot of the things that they've done in the past, there's been bills to protect us from that. So,
One last comment. On behalf of all pickleball players, seniors, and orthopedists, thank you for building those courts.
long-awaited amenity.
So, any other questions, commissioners? All right, Commissioner Lakers.
So thank you so much for the presentation. And I mean, I just love this stuff. I've been here a little over 2 years, 2.5 years, and the Quality of Life Master Plan, the attention towards the built community and the services that the city provides is phenomenal. That said, and really the attention towards equity is really important. And I would when I think about equity, I think about it as a standalone concept, but it's also a through line in all the other core values and priorities of the city. And so I'm trying to connect the dot with the earlier public comment on affordable housing.
Mhm.
Where does that sit? In the presentation, I mean, I see it in the 2025 to 2023 timeline, partner to promote and build attainable housing. I'm curious about what the investments are now and what if there's existing partnerships and how we might, I don't know, advocate for additional supports in that arena.
So within our capital improvement program budget, that's where our, most of our affordable housing dollars are deposited. Let me just find what I'm looking for here. We highlighted one project in Paula's portion because that project's nearing completion.
Right, I saw that.
They just started another project, Vine Creek, which the city has invested, I think it's $6.7 million in that. Having trouble finding what I'm looking for. We have, one second here. Okay, here we go. Housing, sorry. I think I'd know exactly where it is, but just one second. Okay. So we have, within our CIP document itself, we have over $20 million invested in affordable housing. Of that, we have a little over 1.2 invested in the Habitat for Humanity Old Town units. So that's where they'll be building additional units up next to the affordable housing, or the Habitat for Humanity cottages on Pujol Street. We have the Las Haciendas Affordable Housing Project, which was highlighted earlier, that's $10.1 million. An Uptown Affordable Housing Site, so that's where we are depositing money, we've bought land, we're assembling that for a future housing project. We've invested $2.3 million there. And then the Vine Creek Affordable Housing Project, $6.7 million, that's currently being constructed. The city has invested, over the city's history, has invested millions into affordable housing. Unfortunately, back in 2012, the state dissolved what was known as redevelopment agencies. And redevelopment agencies were the primary funding sources for low and moderate income housing. We were mandated to spend 20% of our funding that we received through the redevelopment agency on affordable housing. But with the dissolution of that back in 2012, it's been very difficult to raise funding specifically for affordable housing. The city did have several affordable housing bonds that they've been spending down, and that's a lot of what this funding is here. For the Vine Creek project that's going on, the council decided to dedicate $4 million additional dollars to the $2.7 million already appropriated for that project to have that project be more competitive in the tax credit market so that it could assemble all the funding necessary to build the project. So they used $4 million from the Community Reinvestment Program, which was a completely discretionary program that the council created a couple years ago. Those funds could have been spent anywhere else, but they dedicated them to affordable housing. So the city's doing what it can with the unrestricted dollars that we have. You know, it's too bad that redevelopment agencies were dissolved. You know, this city was a very good steward on how they spent the redevelopment dollars. Unfortunately, not all cities were, and that's why the state came in and did what they did. But we continually look for projects, we look for opportunities, and we have that Uptown Temecula site prepared for a future project.
Excellent.
Just to add to that really quickly as well, your comment about advocacy specifically, housing and affordable housing is a part of the city's adopted legislative platform as well. So both at the federal level, but more so at the state level, we actively advocate for funding for affordable housing, and we also advocate for rules and regulations that will allow us to continue to be that facilitator of affordable housing opportunities that developers can continue to take advantage of. So from the advocacy space, we're engaged in that space as well.
Great to hear. The last question, I'm curious if there are any measures that look at return on investment of those kinds of investments, whether it's advocacy or the dollars invested in affordable housing. Just from my understanding and from some of the earlier comments, it pays off to have people who work here live here. And so I'm just curious if there's any thought about, or maybe that's a potential conversation about what the return on investment is for the dollars that are spent on affordable housing.
Yeah, I'm not personally aware of, I mean, not within my shop. We don't conduct those studies, possibly in the planning department, but I would have to reach out to the director over there to find out. But,
all right,
yeah.
thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Commissioner Evans.
Probably not a question for you, but a question that we definitely need to ask is, are our current zoning, as we get closer and closer to the general plan amendment, is our zoning, the way it's laid out, an impediment to developing a broader housing mix, whether it's whatever that mix might be, whether it's affordable or just different housing stock altogether? Not sure that's really a question for you.
I was going to say, I think Matt Page left, but
Matt
that would have been a
okay,
great
Matt's gone.
question for him.
Okay. But that's something I think this board needs to, this commission needs to maybe ask, is that straight up question. Is there anything in our zoning that is an impediment to housing development? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other commissioners have any questions? Any other questions? All right. I just want to thank you. Thank you. I remember when we went through COVID, and we were one of the only cities, our finance department kept us rolling through that. We didn't lose anything. And where other cities were struggling, you guys did an amazing job of navigating us through that. And with the affordable housing piece, I mean, developers are developers getting out of building affordable housing, and that is a challenge going forward in regards to partnerships we have with them. Is that in California an issue now that you know of?
It's, affordable housing development is really it's an animal all of its own.
Yeah.
It's a very complex funding structure.
Yeah.
And not all developers can develop affordable housing. The ones that do typically do it up and down the state because they know how to navigate the tax credit market, ways to get the affordable housing dollars to make the funds or the projects feasible. So it's a very niche market for the development world, really.
Thank you for that. Any other questions from anybody? All right.
No?
Thank you so
All
much
right,
for your
thank you
brief.
very
Thank you,
much.
Director. Appreciating your staff as well.
All right,
Amazing.
thanks.
Thank you so much. Any public comments on this one? No? No public comments?
No, and last but not least, Chair Faulkner and Commissioners, we have our third annual Culture Fest coming up. So we are ending on an amazingly high note. As you will recall, it was this commission pushing for an event in the community that was representative of all of our culture. Tonight's a great highlight for the REDI Commission because, I've been asked several times, what has the REDI Commission done? What does the REDI Commission do? And we're, when you look at that equity core value and the quality of life master plan and departments trying to meet those equity goals on an annual basis with their goals, and you look at year 4 of the REDI Commission, and you look at the 3rd annual Culture Fest, I mean, a lot of this just speaks for itself.
So, and our partner in all of this has been community services, with respect to murals, with respect to Culture Fest, they've just been, just with us every step of the way. And so has IT, for that matter. So our wonderful Dawn Tastic is in the audience.
Dawn.
And tonight, we are actually going to have, I believe it's Community Services Coordinator, Tracy Tominez, go ahead and provide the update.
All right, thank you so much. Tracy, you got the floor.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So, as Randy said, I'm the Community Services Coordinator for our Special Events team, Tracy Tominez, and then with me tonight, I have part of my wonderful female team is Leslie Diaz, and then Millie Avila. So tonight, the three of us will be providing an update on Culture Fest. Okay, there we go. Thank you, Chris. Okay, so in honor of Cultural Diversity Day, we are hosting our third annual Culture Fest, and this year it'll be on Saturday, May 18th. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. This year, it will be held solely at the Civic Center Quad in Town Square Park. The same day, we are going to be hosting a Culture Day down at Sam Hicks Monument Park. That one will be focusing on a celebration of Japan in honor of our sister city. So we will still technically have a celebration in both areas, but specifically Culture Fest will be held here at City Hall. And with the event, we will have a similar program, which will include vendors, live entertainment, and kids' activities. So currently, we are still accepting vendor applications. Our application closes on March 29th. As of this morning, I have received a few more throughout the day. As of this morning, we have had, as you can see, 18 food vendors, 10 non-food vendors, which is more so crafts, promotional booths, and school clubs. I did want to say that after some of the presentations we had tonight, I'm guessing I'm going to have a few more school clubs. I made sure to hand out my business card to one of our presenters earlier. But I'm going to ask Millie to provide just kind of an update of some of the vendors we have.
Hello. This is my first time up here. This is exciting. Right, so in order to align with the multicultural goal for this event, we are looking for vendors, for example, like businesses that we've had before, like Lumpia Republic with Filipino food, Nepali Eats with Nepali food, Mexisol Boutique with Mexican-inspired handcrafted clothing. I myself bought a hat last year, and it's beautiful. Pan Pan Bear Academy with Chinese language education, and TVUSD students with multicultural art displays.
I also wanted to mention that this year, with all of our events, but Culture Fest specifically, we have been revising our vendor guidelines to make sure that they are event-specific, and these guidelines have been provided with direction by our city attorneys. So with Culture Fest specifically, we want to make sure that the vendors that we are allowing to participate really meet the mission of the event, rather than having, a dental office or a realtor. As much as we know and love them, certain businesses may not fit with the theme of the event. So that's something with our city attorney's guidance we are making sure that we institute. And then, as I mentioned, we will have a variety of entertainment here at the Civic Center and some kids' activities. So with that, I will have Leslie provide some more information.
Hello. So, excuse me. As we had mentioned a little bit earlier, some of the performances for the Culture Fest is a mariachi band, African drums, and even Japanese taiko drums and dance. Hopefully we do get some more applications from the students from the schools, maybe some folk dance, as the students had mentioned. And for kids' activities, we have balloon artist and a face painter.
And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, receive any input that you have. As I mentioned, we are still accepting vendor applications for about another week and a half. So if there's anyone you want to make sure we reach out to, I will happily take down that information.
Awesome. Commissioners, any questions? Oh, go ahead.
We're
Director.
actually going to give you this handy dandy little cheat sheet that you can just go ahead and drop off wherever you go, commissioners. If you have folks that might be interested in submitting the vendor application, the deadline is March 29th, but we know you guys are going to be out in the community in the next 2 weeks. So if you just want to go ahead and give this little flyer to them, it will give them all of the relevant information, including how to connect with TCSD.
That's great, because I'm thinking of pudding, that company that comes to my mind. I love it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we did put out a social media post yesterday and a press release, so even just with that, I've gotten a handful, but yes, anyone that you can recommend if you come in contact with. Like I said, some of the students that presented tonight, I made sure to follow them out, and even I met their student advisor, and he has some other clubs at the high school, so I think we'll definitely get a few more of that, but anyone else, we would love to have them.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, I thought this was a question for, I don't know who the question is for, but in terms of the commission.
Okay.
For REDI.
Yes.
Last year, manning the booth.
Yes,
think we
I
had,
would
like,
love to talk about
stress
that,
balls
too.
or something.
Yes.
But it would be really nice to have literature, like a trifold pretty or a postcard pretty that we could hand out so that we get more awareness about REDI in the community.
Okay.
Is that
yeah.
possible?
Yeah, that's definitely something we can do. I know in the past we've had something, but I think if we have, I think we've had pamphlets that were kind of an overview of all of the commissions, but I definitely understand having a REDI specific one, we can definitely do
Yeah,
that.
that would be really
work
cool.
with your director.
Also,
Yeah.
I'm remembering all these things from last year. Like, some of the tables had like candy and stuff that would get people over. Can we get something like
Yeah,
that?
you want
also?
something to entice
I know,
more
I feel
foot
like I'm
traffic?
making all these requests, but I remember standing there for a really long time and like, we were like, oh.
These are
stuff falls.
totally reasonable requests, so don't worry,
Okay,
we can
great.
do that.
I'm trying to think of what else. There were those really big posters, which were great.
Yes, we still have those.
Snacks for us was awesome.
Agreed.
Just trying to think of other things to pull people
Sure.
to us so that we can start those conversations.
Yeah, of
We
course.
definitely hear you, Commissioner Deutsch. So what we're hearing is we will still go ahead and have one combined booth for all four of our for all four of our commissions. We'll still go ahead and lead the charge on making sure that everybody has a 2-hour shift or however much time they can spend there. And we will also go ahead and update that trifold so that all four commissions are represented. However, I do hear what Commissioner Deutsch is saying in having some sort of a draw similar to life-size candy bars that I use for the college fair and voter registration drive. So, Erica, we may need to make a trip to Costco. I hear what you're saying, and we will work with the Community Services Department to kind of brainstorm what we could do to drive traffic to the commission booth. And that will be the underlying kind of need. And then we'll make sure that you guys have something to give away. And I imagine we're going to be doing passports or something like passports again this year.
Yes, definitely. That seems to have been a hit in the past, so we'll continue to do that.
It does. So if we can just incorporate the commissions in that somehow, I think that you guys did that previously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you recall from the last 2 years that you would like incorporated or would like modified? Or is there something new that you were thinking this might, I know this is the third year and we're a little bit on autopilot now. The first year was a little bit more challenging. But this year, I think that what we're really going to need you to monitor is because we are condensing the footprint. We think, that's probably something you're going to need to just keep your eyes on and see how folks interact with one another. I'm going to guess it's going to be better because it's not going to be as so spread out. And then people aren't going to miss performances on different stages and things like that.
I missed that part. So are we only going to be in one section, not going to be down at the park?
Yes, that's what she had mentioned.
So this year, as I mentioned, so it will be primarily here at the Civic Center. However, down at Sam Hicks Park, they will be celebrating Japan for part of their Culture Day. But yes, as Randy had mentioned, part of the reason for the change is with the performances, some people performing in 2 different places, not wanting to, miss one or the other. And I think also part of it, as much as we love the farmers market, I think some of our vendors may have felt that there was a little bit of conflict with that, just
Yeah.
making sure we had enough focus. So I think by splitting it up this year, I think it'll help bring more of the focus to the event and bring the spectators that we want. And it's definitely something that our team will be evaluating as the event goes on to kind of see like, okay, did this make a difference? I know obviously with Culture Days taking place at Sam Hicks, that'll still have the crowd, but I think because there will be slight differences in what's being offered, I think we'll still get good foot traffic.
I think that'll be great. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Real quick, you may want to check with VTV, the Chamber, and Wine Growers Association, and a few others, just to make sure that the information's on the website. I don't think it is. On their website, I was looking at the calendar. And it doesn't really-
Okay,
yeah.
yes, I'll
So
reach
just-
out to them.
yeah, just a quick
Yeah,
phone call.
that's a great idea.
Thank you, Commissioner Evantine. Okay, gotcha. Well, I'm glad that we're, bringing it down here. I think a lot of people were like, I missed the shows or whatever, so, do we know if the one they're gonna have, down by the museum is gonna be larger, is gonna be just a regular, kind of the Culture Day, you don't know the footprint, you don't know who's gonna show up?
This moment, I think that their event is still gonna be 11 to 1, so it's, the timing will still remain the same. I know they had been kind of thinking since ours is from 10 to 3, did they want to extend it? So I think theirs will be kind of follow a similar footprint to their normal Culture Day.
Okay.
I know they will have, luckily, the taiko drummers, they will be able to participate at both locations, so I think that will
Okay,
help.
good.
Yeah, I think they'll still continue with their same footprint
Yeah,
for
and
their
those
event.
acts that were being done down there last time, they will all be just done right here.
Yes.
So, that'll fill the space really nice as you bring them all together, so.
Yes.
No, it was great. Amazing job. Thank you guys for putting it together based on feedback we gave you because it has been a hit. And I have neighbors that came and they still talk about it when it's gonna happen
wonderful.
again, so, that's a great event. So appreciate you guys. And you guys do an amazing job making it happen too, so.
I have two things I want
Go
to
ahead.
add to that. Just curious if going on in the future, if just keeping it into this succinct area is going to sort of be the trend, or will we tend to go back to the expansion of both places in the future, or where is that going?
So I think part of it will depend on if we notice a difference in foot traffic for this event, noticing if people are staying in one place longer, and if we feel at the end, our team kind of evaluates and sees if we had a more positive impact compared to last year, we would continue to have it here. I think as we've done with, I don't know if any of you have been to our Halloween carnival that we've hosted, so there was a couple years in a row when we had first moved it from Ronald Reagan to Old Town, we had hosted it simultaneously at the Civic Center and with Sam Hicks Monument Park with the idea that it would encourage more foot traffic throughout Old Town. We encouraged the merchants to participate in a trick or treat. And we just realized with spreading out the events, in theory, it's a great idea, but as far as foot traffic, it doesn't always work that way. So although we may be a little more limited with the number of vendors we can take here at the Civic Center, I think we can have a more positive experience by having just one central location, and that, in that sense, I would encourage people to stay longer and engage with more of the vendors rather than some of them thinking like, okay, I've been here for a half hour, I don't know if I'm missing anything down at Sam Hicks Park, so I think it'll better focus their attention, but like I said, we're open to still evaluating, and even with our commissioners, if you notice a difference compared to past years, we're open to that feedback, because it's not that by moving it to just one location, I'm not saying we're set to this, we're always open to feedback, whether it's negative or positive, that way we can continue to provide the best events for our community.
Thank you. The last comment that I have is coming into this area, this particular designation tends to be a little bit tiered, right, in terms of how it portrays itself. And my thought process goes immediately to accessibility. And certainly as we bring in our families and our special needs groups as well, if just the thought of placement in terms of some of those vendors can be sort of at the forefront as we start to create those placements, so it is accessible to wheelchairs and walkers and what have you.
Yes, no, that's totally understandable.
Perfect.
Let me get on off of mute. Thank you so much for the presentation. And you guys know I love community services. What you guys do is amazing, and I try to go every time. And your staff does an amazing job. So keep being who you are. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
All right. Man, that was a busy day. So great presentation, and really moving forward into our commissioner comments. So we'll go down the line for commissioner comments as we close out. And Commissioner Dosh, you got any comments to end up? Yes.
Terrific day.
My comments towards this, your comments. Man, God.
Thank you, everybody who participated.
Agreed. Great evening. I do have one announcement. The Interfaith Council of Murrieta and Temecula Valley is hosting a night of music, Songs for Unity and Peace, on April 28th at Rancho Church between 6 and 8. I have some flyers, and I'm glad I got to share this because this was instructions from my wife, and as we're celebrating International Women's Month, I better come home having followed her instructions. Yeah, I know you would. That's why. Thank you. I've got flyers, and I don't know if there's if we can leave them here too, Randy. Thank you.
It was a great meeting. It was wonderful getting updates from all the different departments, and we're looking forward to Culture Fest again. Thank you to all the ladies for their hard work as you celebrate Women's History Month. Thanks for everything.
Commissioner Wilson, anything?
You're probably going to mention it, but the Special Olympics is this Saturday at Great Oaks High School. If you're free and available to come by, I think they want us there about 8 a.m. so they can go over everything, but this is a great event to be a part of. That's it.
Commissioner Evans?
No comment.
All right. Vice Chair?
There's not much to say. It's been a great night. It's been a pleasure. I would be remiss if I didn't say that we had a phenomenal February in terms of Black History Month. And it was started here, and it just kind of continued on. And thank you so much, Commissioner Faulkner, for attending the potluck. Appreciate that, and having you speak and just kind of be visible within our youth community as well. I think that's really, really important. I will say that there's what we are doing here in terms of a commission is absolutely become contagious, and it is really phenomenal to see. I was able to attend Great Oaks Diversity Showcase, and wow. What they put on and the club. So I suspect you're probably going to get a lot more, actually, because now I have those sheets. Thanks, Randy. So it's going to be pretty interesting because they put on a phenomenal show, including Chinese New Year and a dragon all over the stage. So incredible. But yeah, what great things we're doing, and it's certainly visible. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I was saying, with just a great meeting tonight. Very informative, very engaging as well. So I'm just fulfilled and ready to go to the house and lay it out. So with that being said, Executive Director, you got any report?
Nothing other than I wanted to thank Chris Dreyer, our IT support staff, for sticking with us at this late hour.
Yes, thank everyone for standing around and working with us through this long agenda. So
Can we have some play-out music?
yes. And with that being said, we're going to adjourn the REDI Commission until our next scheduled meeting.